In the apocalyptic world that had descended upon humanity, Guan Feiyu desperately sought sustenance for his girlfriend and her lover. It was only when he believed he had found salvation that the truth was revealed, as the lover struck him down with a brutal blow, unveiling the hidden secret of an ancestral jade pendant. Initially thinking it was too late for redemption, fate unexpectedly granted him a chance at rebirth. Upon his revival, Guan Feiyu decisively ended his relationship, reclaimed the ancestral pendant, and began his preparations for the impending apocalypse. Chapter 1. Just you wait. Guan Feiyu abruptly awoke from his slumber, his visage marred by terror and dread. He had seemingly traversed a nightmarish dream, wherein he endured 3 months of a globally frigid apocalypse. As the weather began to recover, he had hoped for improvement. However, upon the melting of snowbanks towering several stories high, torrential rains descended once more. A month later, rising sea levels engulfed his city, leaving only a handful of skyscrapers visible above the deluge. At that moment, the few who had survived the 4-month ordeal awaited death with hopeless despair. Suddenly, several colossal cargo ships appeared on the horizon, dispatching yachts and cruise ships to rescue these survivors, transporting them to the higher terrains of the southwest and northwest for the reconstruction of their homes. Little did he know, upon boarding the cruise ship, his girlfriend, Mu Qingqing, conspired with Lin Ziyu to end his life. The truth was that Mu Qingqing had long been entangled with the affluent heir, Lin Ziyu. Their initial connection had merely been that of university classmates. Guan Feiyu naively believed their relationship was innocent, unaware of the illicit affair that had blossomed even before their acquaintance. Lin Ziyu, hailing from a prestigious family, looked down upon Mu Qingqing as a mere commoner. The Lin family had always disapproved of their union, perceiving her as someone who merely sought to elevate her status. While the Lin family would not mind Lin Ziyu's dalliance, it was imperative that he enter into a marriage arranged by his family, while Mu Qingqing was expected to find a suitable partner to avoid misunderstandings. Such familial alliances were customary, with the unspoken rule allowing for mutual indulgences post-marriage, as long as the marital bond remained intact. Thus, Mu Qingqing chose Guan Feiyu as her boyfriend, finding him easily manipulable and somewhat gullible. For Guan Feiyu, encountering a woman of such beauty, intellect, and success was perceived as a divine blessing, leading him to comply with her every whim, akin to a devoted admirer. In the midst of the apocalypse, Guan Feiyu exerted every ounce of effort to procure various provisions for Mu Qingqing and Lin Ziyu. Naturally, Lin Ziyu, leveraging his privileged status, continually painted a bright future for Guan Feiyu, assuring him that the Lin family was diligently working on a rescue plan, promising to bring him along to safety. In a desperate bid for survival and to remain with Mu Qingqing, Guan Feiyu, despite his own hunger, endeavored to provide sustenance for both of them. He had believed that salvation would arrive with the cruise ship. Once they boarded the distant freighter, they could continue their lives in the southwest or northwest. However, upon boarding the cruise, Lin Ziyu and Mu Qingqing's first act was to take Guan Feiyu's life. It was only before his demise that he discovered the truth from their lips. Mu Qingqing even tossed Guan Feiyu his most treasured family heirloom, a jade pendant. At that moment, Guan Feiyu was on the brink of death and could do little more than seethe with anger. Unexpectedly, as the pendant fell upon him, stained with his blood, it emitted a radiant golden light. Before anything further could transpire from the light, Lin Ziyu, fearing unforeseen consequences, plunged a knife into Guan Feiyu once more, and he awakened. Reflecting on these events, Guan Feiyu was left pondering whether this was merely a dream or a true rebirth. He glanced at his phone, which displayed the date as September 1st, leaving 2 months until the apocalyptic cold would descend on the world. The fateful day, November 1st, marked the onset of the extreme winter apocalypse. The pressing question remained: how could he ascertain whether he was dreaming or had indeed been reborn? Suddenly, an idea struck him. On September 1st, Vice City Chief Lu Ming delivered a speech at a primary school during its opening ceremony, as a new teaching building had been constructed. Ironically, while Lu Ming was speaking, a window from the newly erected building fell, a scandalous affront to his credibility. Enraged, Lu Ming demanded a thorough investigation into the incident. A month later, he was taken away for questioning by the relevant authorities. Lu Ming had long been regarded by the public as a figure devoted to safety, often emphasizing this commitment in public forums, even exposing several shoddy projects. To the citizens, he epitomized the ideal city leader. It was shocking, then, that he was ultimately scrutinized for bribery, with the sum involved being staggering. Contemplating this, Guan Feiyu quickly checked local news on his phone for any coverage of the incident. If there was news, it would confirm his rebirth. If not, it would suggest he had merely experienced a dreadful dream. After a prolonged search, he found no mention of the events in his dream. Guan Feiyu frowned, pondering whether it could indeed have been a mere dream, yet it felt so vividly real. Eventually, he recognized the issue. It was only 7 a.m. This time was typically reserved for students arriving at school, and it was implausible for the vice city chief to address students at such an hour. With a wry smile, Guan Feiyu resolved to wait. As for his delivery job earning 7,000 to 8,000 a month, he decided to forego it for the day. If the apocalypse were real, he could disregard the job entirely. If it were a fabrication, he would treat it as a well-deserved respite. Suddenly, he felt a pang of hunger. Leaping from the bed, he dashed to the refrigerator, extracting food that had been left over since yesterday, perhaps the day before, or even longer, shoving it incessantly into his mouth. In the 4 months since the apocalypse began, it mattered little whether the food was cold. Even if it were frozen and filthy, Guan Feiyu had consumed his share. Indeed, amidst the desolation, having anything to eat was a blessing. After a frenzied binge, Guan Feiyu felt a profound sense of satisfaction and, without realizing it, drifted back into slumber. It was uncertain whether his fatigue stemmed from delivering takeout the previous day or from the sheer mental exhaustion of surviving the end of days. 4 hours later, he jolted awake, startled to discover it was nearly 11 o'clock. He retrieved his phone and immediately searched for local news. Sure enough, an hour prior, while the deputy city chief was delivering a speech, a window from a newly constructed teaching building had fallen, mercifully, without casualties. Following this incident was a report detailing the deputy city chief Lu Ming's furious demands for a thorough investigation. Guan Feiyu lost interest in the ensuing developments. The news alone sufficed to confirm the reality of the apocalypse. Accepting this truth, he resolved to prepare for the world that had crumbled around him. His thoughts drifted to the emerging supernatural abilities, ancient martial arts, and various miraculous techniques that had begun to surface. He contemplated the most valuable food in this new world, the people and events that had transpired, and the jade pendant he had given to Mu Qingqing. The first order of business was to reclaim his jade pendant. Although he was uncertain about the significance of the golden light emitted by it, he instinctively sensed its importance. If it possessed supernatural properties, he could gain a competitive edge in this dystopian reality, easing his burdens significantly. Just as he was about to reach out to Mu Qingqing, her call came through. Guan Feiyu, do you see what time it is? Why haven't you brought me my food yet? Do you want me to break up with you? Hearing her words ignited a fierce anger within him, and through gritted teeth, he retorted, fine, just you wait. Chapter 2. I wouldn't want to hinder your blossoming romance with the young master of the Lin family. Mu Qingqing was puzzled. She sensed that Guan Feiyu's tone was unusually off today. Had he discovered something? She shook her head, dismissing the thought. They had concealed their affairs so well. How could he possibly know? Guan Feiyu stormed down the stairs, mounting his delivery bike and racing at breakneck speed to the Lin Group's building, arriving within 30 minutes. Typically, Mu Qingqing would never allow him to come upstairs, deeming him an embarrassment. However, this time, Guan Feiyu resolved to confront her, determined to let her and Lin Ziyu face the consequences of their actions. Before he could enter the Lin Group, a luxury car pulled up before him. The sight of the vehicle filled him with fury. It belonged to Lin Ziyu. As Lin Ziyu stepped out, a smile gracing his face, he called out, Ah, Feiyu. Here to deliver food to Qingqing again? In the past, Guan Feiyu would have greeted him with a smile, but now, he felt a surge of pain coursing through him. Before his rebirth, Lin Ziyu struck himself with a blunt object after boarding the cruise ship, subsequently instructing his subordinates to beat him mercilessly, leaving him on the brink of death. It was during this tumultuous episode that Guan Feiyu became privy to the entire scheme. The cruise ship was dispatched by the Lin family to retrieve Lin Ziyu, sparing him from personal involvement in the ensuing events. However, in the final moments, as golden light enveloped the scene, Lin Ziyu, with a ghastly expression, ruthlessly eliminated Guan Feiyu to avert any unforeseen complications. Guan Feiyu, brimming with murderous intent, remarked, Qingqing? Such an affectionate address. Being the scion of the Lin family, Lin Ziyu was well acquainted with the nuances of human emotions, and he immediately sensed Guan Feiyu's hostility. Yet, he was perplexed as to why Guan Feiyu suddenly harbored such animosity towards him. Could it be that Guan Feiyu had become aware of the connection between him and Mu Qingqing? If that were the case, then Guan Feiyu's murderous intent would indeed be comprehensible. The notion of a man driven to fury for the sake of a woman is timeless and universal. Casting a glance at the imposing gates of the Lin residence, Lin Ziyu mused that if he were to be bullied in such a prestigious place, then the security personnel would surely have no choice but to take a leap into the river. With a smile, he said, Feiyu, do you perhaps misunderstand something? To be frank, I have known Qingqing for 7 years. We were in college together for 4 years and graduated 3 years ago. I have called her Qingqing since our sophomore year. To put it mildly, I was addressing her in such a familiar manner long before you even met her. Seeing Lin Ziyu jest and speak with such casualness ignited a firestorm of rage within Guan Feiyu. Alas, we still reside in a society governed by law. This is not a post-apocalyptic world where one can slay without consequence. Should he eliminate Lin Ziyu now, he would likely not survive to see the end of days. The Lin family was powerful enough to extinguish his life as easily as one might crush an ant. However, in a true apocalypse, or if the jade pendant possessed any real power, the tables could turn dramatically. Before Guan Feiyu could respond, Mu Qingqing rushed over. Upon seeing Guan Feiyu's fierce expression, she immediately erupted in anger. Guan Feiyu, what are you doing? Who gave you the audacity to treat Ziyu this way? Lin Ziyu quickly donned the guise of the Good Samaritan. Qingqing, it's nothing. Feiyu is merely feeling jealous. He thinks my calling you Qingqing is too intimate. Perhaps I should address you by your full name from now on. Guan Feiyu glared at Lin Ziyu's duplicitous demeanor, his fury reaching a boiling point. Mu Qingqing turned her ire towards Guan Feiyu. Guan Feiyu, let me make this clear. Ziyu and I are the best of friends. If you dare to say or do anything to him, we will end our relationship. Mark my words, a penniless wretch like you, without family, connections, education, or wealth, would never stand a chance with someone like me, were it not for the fact that I found you somewhat tolerable. Guan Feiyu clenched his fists, genuinely wishing to deliver a heartfelt greeting to both Lin Ziyu and Mu Qingqing with his own hands. Just then, another luxury car pulled up before them. Guan Feiyu remained indifferent to the sight of the opulent vehicle, yet Mu Qingqing's expression betrayed her unease. Lin Ziyu, seemingly unfazed, walked to the back with a cheerful smile and opened the car door. Yunru, what brings you here at this hour? Did you agree to join me for lunch? He said, displaying what he believed to be his most radiant smile. Upon hearing the name Yunru, Guan Feiyu immediately deduced that this Yunru must be the young lady of the Zhong family, Zhong Yunru, who was also Lin Ziyu's betrothed. However, at this stage, it was merely an intention between two prominent families, with no further developments yet. It was expected that the engagement date for the two would be set in a month and a half, but then the apocalypse arrived. This information was relayed to Guan Feiyu by Mu Qingqing before the rebirth into the apocalypse. During that period, Mu Qingqing had a notably foul temper, finding fault with everything. And any minor inconvenience would provoke her into a fit, making life difficult for Guan Feiyu. Zhong Yunru extended her leg, preparing to step out of the car. Guan Feiyu caught sight of her long, slender leg clad in stockings. Although he couldn't see her face, he felt that just the sight of those legs could captivate anyone for years. When Zhong Yunru finally emerged completely from the vehicle, Guan Feiyu beheld her true visage. It was undeniable that Zhong Yunru was an exquisite beauty. Not only did she possess legs that could enthrall, but her bosom seemed poised to burst from her attire. Coupled with a face of unparalleled charm, in the apocalypse, one such encounter with Zhong Yunru could be worth a packet of instant noodles and a sausage. One might think that a modest valuation, but in the harsh reality of the apocalypse, an average woman might only be worth the remnants of a noodle packet. While a woman of notable beauty could command a single packet after a night, a privilege fought over by countless others. To be valued at a packet of noodles and a sausage was practically a fortune in that desolate world. Zhong Yunru glanced at Lin Ziyu, then swept her gaze over Guan Feiyu and Mu Qingqing, ultimately fixing her attention on Mu Qingqing. Who are they? Zhong Yunru inquired coldly. Lin Ziyu replied with a smile. Yunru, Qingqing is a dear friend from my university days, and she has been working at our Lin Corporation since graduation. The person beside her is Guan Feiyu, her boyfriend, and also my good brother. Guan Feiyu scoffed. Lin, I am not your good brother, nor will I ever be. After all, no brother would sleep with another brother's woman. Lin Ziyu and Mu Qingqing's expressions shifted dramatically, while Zhong Yunru furrowed her brow but remained silent. Mu Qingqing was acutely aware of the relationship between Lin Ziyu and Zhong Yunru, as well as the Lin family's ongoing efforts to facilitate their union. She could not predict what would happen to Guan Feiyu for his words, but she knew the Lin family would not spare her should their plans be thwarted. Mu Qingqing understood the Lin family's stance towards her. Lin Ziyu could have his fun, but should she disrupt the Lin family's affairs, they would be the first to turn against her. Guan Feiyu, what nonsense are you spouting? Ziyu and I are merely good friends, Mu Qingqing retorted angrily. Guan Feiyu, with a look of disdain, replied, Mu Qingqing, should I bring forth the photographs of you two together in bed? Upon the utterance of those words, both Lin Ziyu and Mu Qingqing's expressions shifted dramatically. Should Guan Feiyu truly present evidence, the union between the Lin and Zhong families would be utterly impossible. Moreover, Lin Ziyu was acutely aware of the lethal intent that Guan Feiyu had just directed towards him. If Guan Feiyu possessed no evidence, why would he exhibit such hostility? Disregarding their inner turmoil, Guan Feiyu cast a disdainful glance at Mu Qingqing and declared, Mu Qingqing, I have come today to sever our ties. I would not wish to impede your prospects with the heir of the Lin family. By the way, return the jade pendant to me. Chapter 3. Awaiting looming Lin Ziyu's countenance darkened considerably, his gaze toward Guan Feiyu laden with animosity. Zhong Yunru regarded Lin Ziyu with a frigid stare. Mu Qingqing found herself momentarily at a loss. Guan Feiyu, frowning, stated, "Return the jade pendant, otherwise I shall produce 1,000 copies of your compromising photographs and distribute them at the entrance of the Lin group. Furthermore, I shall disseminate these images online, revealing to all the true character of the Lin family's heir, ensuring that you, Mu Qingqing, become the subject of public scrutiny." Fuming with indignation, Mu Qingqing removed the jade pendant from her neck and hurled it towards Guan Feiyu in a fit of rage. He caught it with a look of apprehension, ensuring its safety before carefully placing it into his pocket. Turning away, Guan Feiyu mounted his battle vehicle and deliberately approached Zhong Yunru, whispering, "I have heard that the Lin family is facing significant financial troubles. The Zhong family would do well to exercise caution." Zhong Yunru, her brow furrowed, remained silent. Guan Feiyu then rode away, unconcerned with the fate of the three behind him, as he had more pressing matters to attend to. 20 minutes later, seated in his chamber, Guan Feiyu retrieved the jade pendant, slicing his fingertip to let his blood drip onto it. While this method may be conventional, its efficacy was all that mattered. As the drops of blood fell upon the pendant, the golden light from his previous life re-emerged. Overjoyed, Guan Feiyu exclaimed, "Splendid. It appears this is no mere figment of my imagination before death, though I remain uncertain of what this golden light may bestow upon me." The golden radiance penetrated Guan Feiyu's mind, revealing a cultivation technique known as the Huangdi Neijing. Staring in disbelief at the Huangdi Neijing, he realized this was the legendary practice attributed to the Yellow Emperor among the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. There were also tales that the Yellow Emperor consorted with 3,000 maidens and ultimately ascended to immortality. Could this be the method behind such feats? Upon closer inspection, Guan Feiyu confirmed it to be indeed the fabled technique. The text encompassed not only various health-preserving methods, but also strategies for enhancing a man's combat prowess, alongside numerous techniques. Of particular note were the detailed instructions on mutual cultivation. However, this cultivation was not of a self-serving nature. Rather, it benefited both parties involved. The manuscript also contained extensive descriptions of different realms of cultivation, the lowest being the Qi refinement stage, which consists of 9 tiers. Currently, Guan Feiyu occupied the first tier of the Qi refinement stage, having already attained a measure of strength, with further insights into other realms yet to be explored. Within this narrative, not only are there methods of gathering and supplementing energy, but also techniques for self-cultivation, albeit the latter tends to be a more gradual process. In the realm of conventional cultivation, even if one perseveres to the point of death, attaining immortality remains an elusive dream. At best, one may achieve longevity. Therefore, those seeking rapid advancement should indeed resort to the methods of gathering and supplementing energy. Guan Feiyu found this technique exceptionally advantageous, particularly in the aftermath of the apocalypse, where the scarcity of resources was palpable, yet the abundance of women remained unscathed. Although women who had not experienced intimacy were rare, this method did not stipulate that one must exclusively engage with those untouched to facilitate cultivation. At present, Guan Feiyu was not overly anxious about the cultivation aspects. His immediate concern lay with the impending apocalypse 2 months hence. The initial phase of the apocalypse was marked by 3 months of frigid conditions, where survival hinged upon the acquisition of sustenance and warmth. The extreme cold not only manifested in daily snowfall, but also plunged temperatures to a maximum of -50 degrees Celsius and a minimum of -80 degrees, with the northern regions reportedly dipping to -90 degrees. In light of the necessity for warmth, it was imperative to secure a suitable shelter, a well-constructed abode. In his previous life, under the insistence of Mu Qingqing, he had rented a 40-square-meter high-rise apartment in the esteemed Wulong community a month prior to the onset of the apocalypse, at a rental fee of 6,000 per month. It was later revealed to him that Lin Ziyu also possessed a residence in that very community, likely due to the convenience it afforded their clandestine rendezvous, prompting Mu Qingqing to pressure Guan Feiyu into securing a rental there. Fortuitously, residing in that location enabled Guan Feiyu and his companions to survive, as the premises not only featured independent villas, but also high-rise buildings exceeding 20 stories. It was this verticality that sustained them for 4 months. Otherwise, with the melting snow and torrential rains, had they remained in their current community, they would have perished numerous times over. Moreover, during the 3 months of the apocalypse, Guan Feiyu became intimately familiar with the area. However, given his financial constraints, purchasing property there was but a distant fantasy for someone with merely tens of thousands in his pocket. A spark ignited in his mind, and he swiftly retrieved paper and pen, jotting down his thoughts. Armed with this note, Guan Feiyu descended rapidly, hopped onto his vehicle, and made his way to the city lord's office. Naturally, He did not intend to storm the premises. Instead, he approached the security guard, engaging in casual conversation to establish rapport. When he sensed the moment was ripe, he feigned a look of distress and lamented, "Oldly, I must confess. I am in dire straits. My parents were tragically killed by a wealthy heir who was driving under the influence. The perpetrator offered me a mere 50,000 in compensation and threatened me with dire consequences should I cause a scene. Yet, I refuse to accept this injustice. I must see that he faces the consequences he deserves. I implore you to deliver this note to Deputy City Lord Lu Ming. He is known for his disdain for evil, and he may be the only one willing to assist me, should he decline to help. I will take my own life at the gates of the city Lord's mansion tomorrow." The man referred to as Oldly regarded Guan Feiyu with a wary gaze before finally asking, "May I see what is inscribed on your note?" Guan Feiyu nodded and handed the paper over to Oldly. Oldly unfolded the note, which read Building A, Wulong Villa District, followed by 95 million. The second row indicated Building B, 28th floor, and the final row mentioned Wulong Mountain Pavilion. Gazing at the contents of the note, Oldly appeared utterly bewildered. What on earth does this mean? He was well aware of the Wulong Villa District, renowned as the finest residential area in the entire city, featuring not only villas but also high-rise apartments, all no less than 12 stories tall, inhabited solely by the affluent. However, he could not fathom its connection to Guan Feiyu's plight. As for the Wulong Mountain Pavilion, he recognized it as a well-known spot situated behind the Wulong community, a place familiar to nearly everyone in the city. What could this imply? Oldly inquired, his brow furrowed in confusion. Guan Feiyu, adopting an earnest demeanor, replied, "Oldly, I shan't conceal the truth from you. I have been investigating this matter, and the locations mentioned here are frequented by the second-generation wealthy. I inscribed these details to inform the Deputy City Lord that these are the individuals responsible for my parents' demise. Should the Deputy City Lord be willing to assist me, we shall convene at the pavilion on Wulong Mountain. If he fears the influence of those behind this, then he need not come." Oldly nodded in understanding. "Rest assured, Deputy City Lord Lu Ming commutes by bicycle every day and will pass by here. I shall deliver the note to him." Guan Feiyu expressed his gratitude. "Thank you." After glancing at the time, he felt it was appropriate to take his leave. It was true that his parents had perished in a tragic accident. Yet he remained unaware of the perpetrator, and the relevant authorities had uncovered nothing, leaving the matter unresolved. Even during his previous life, he had sought answers without success, and the 30,000 yuan was likewise lost in obscurity. However, he refrained from disclosing this, as it was imperative to evoke Old Li's empathy towards the vulnerable. Riding his motorcycle, Guan Feiyu made his way to Wulong Mountain, parked his vehicle, and proceeded to the pavilion halfway up the mountain to await Lu Ming's arrival. Chapter 4. You don't intend to use this incident to leverage me for life, do you? Half an hour later, a man who appeared to be in his 50s ascended the path, were it not for prior knowledge. Anyone encountering this individual would likely perceive him as a common laborer striving to make ends meet. Yet, those who frequently follow the news would recognize him as none other than Lu Ming, the Deputy City Lord of this metropolis. Observing the man before him, Guan Feiyu could not help but smirk slightly. "Isn't it exhausting to maintain such a facade? You've arrived," he remarked, addressing Lu Ming with a smile. Lu Ming scrutinized the young man before him. "Who are you? Is it true that the owner of that villa struck down your parents?" When Oldly had handed him the note, he had inquired about its significance. Upon learning the details, Lu Ming had hastily come to Wulong Mountain. Guan Feiyu remained silent, instead gesturing toward the stone table at the center of the pavilion. On the stone table lay 2 unopened bottles of mineral water, one of which was suddenly hurled towards Lu Ming. He caught it instinctively, his expression a mixture of shock and realization. He understood the implications of Guan Feiyu's gesture. With a smile, Guan Feiyu remarked, "There is no need for such theatrics to summon the Deputy City Lord. He will come of his own accord. As for what is inscribed on that note, I believe the Deputy City Lord is more aware than anyone else." Lu Ming's gaze flickered as he contemplated the meaning behind Guan Feiyu's words. Observing Lu Ming's shifting demeanor, Guan Feiyu spoke again. "There is still over 100 million in the abandoned building of the old scrap yard in the Eastern District." Lu Ming's expression shifted. "How do you know this?" Guan Feiyu chuckled internally, amused by the thought. "Should I reveal that I have returned from a past life? Or perhaps that you will be apprehended in a month and confess all your misdeeds? Would you dare to believe me?" Instead of responding directly, Guan Feiyu gazed down the mountain, stating, "I will take the villa, I will take the high-rise. And I will also claim the money from both the villa and the abandoned building. As for the gold bars beneath your ancestral grave, I shall leave those for you." A gesture of goodwill. Lu Ming looked at Guan Feiyu as if he had seen a ghost. The villa and the abandoned building were understandable. He frequented them often, even at night, which made it reasonable for Guan Feiyu to know. After all, the money wouldn't simply walk away on its own. However, he had only visited the high-rise once, and he only went to the ancestral grave during Qingming in the new year. Outside of those times, he had never been there. Each visit was conducted with utmost caution, leaving no room for discovery. How, then, did this man possess such knowledge? A glint of malice flickered in Lu Ming's eyes. He glanced at the bottle of mineral water in his hand, hesitating. However, as the deputy city lord, he was resolute and possessed a sharp mind. How do you know all this? Guan Feiyu turned to Lu Ming with a knowing smile. Because someone has reported you, and the authorities have already begun their investigation. I estimate that within a month, you will be taken away. What? Lu Ming's face was one of disbelief. Someone had reported him? The authorities were investigating him? How did Guan Feiyu come to know of this? Seemingly reading Lu Ming's thoughts, Guan Feiyu anticipated his curiosity. Are you wondering how I came by this information? Lu Ming's eyes fixated on Guan Feiyu, desperate to uncover how he had been exposed. Does it truly matter how I know? The question nearly made Lu Ming choke with rage. Of course, it mattered. It was evident that Guan Feiyu was toying with him, yet he felt utterly powerless. Guan Feiyu continued with a smile. In truth, I am assisting you. Consider this. Although the villa and the high-rise are not under your name, any investigation will undoubtedly lead back to you. If you transfer ownership to me, with your capabilities, others will surely be unable to trace the intermediary steps. I am merely helping you navigate this predicament. As for the money, think of it as a token of gratitude for my assistance. Internally, Lu Ming scoffed. Thank you very much. However, one must acknowledge that to hold the position of deputy city lord in a first-tier city, one must possess a decisive character. Lu Ming was acutely aware that the young man before him undoubtedly possessed evidence that could bring him down, and his strength was formidable. Otherwise, he would not have dared to act so boldly. Moreover, the individual who reported him was certainly not this young man, for if it were the case, he would not have sought a villa and money from Lu Ming. As long as you reveal the identity of the person who reported me, I am willing to grant you anything you desire. Lu Ming spat through gritted teeth, his disdain for the young man palpable. Guan Feiyu felt a stirring in his heart. You hold both great gratitude and deep animosity towards this person. Can you not surmise who it might be? Lu Ming furrowed his brow, pondering the notion that he bore both great kindness and significant enmity towards this individual. Although the pool of candidates appeared small, it loomed large in Lu Ming's perspective. Despite his public persona as a righteous official who despised evil, many had fallen victim to his schemes. He had managed to conceal his misdeeds adeptly, cleaning up after himself swiftly, which had allowed him to rise to his current position. Furthermore, Lu Ming had assisted several individuals in ascending to power, only to later bring them down for various reasons. By that logic, he indeed held both gratitude and resentment towards these individuals. If one were to consider the duality of gratitude and animosity, identifying this person would prove quite challenging. It seemed he would have to investigate further. Once he uncovered the identity of this individual, there would be no mercy. Now that we have spoken, I expect to see 2 property deeds with my name on them by noon tomorrow, Guan Feiyu declared, preparing to leave. Lu Ming immediately inquired. You do not intend to leverage this matter against me for a lifetime, do you? Taken aback, Guan Feiyu chuckled. The fruits of your labor over the years have essentially fallen into my hands. Do you truly believe I could sustain myself off you for a lifetime? Of course. You could always seek to trouble me in 2 months. 2 months hence would herald the end of the world, and by then, he would be too preoccupied with his own survival to bother with Lu Ming. In Lu Ming's mind, since Guan Feiyu had indicated that the authorities were already investigating him, any attempts to retaliate against Guan Feiyu would likely have to be postponed for several months. As Guan Feiyu had suggested, perhaps this matter would only be resolvable in 2 months. The crux of the situation was that all of Lu Ming's possessions had now found their way into Guan Feiyu's hands, rendering him without a stain on his reputation. Even if Guan Feiyu retained some evidence, given Lu Ming's stature and cunning, everyone would choose to believe him rather than Guan Feiyu. As he watched Guan Feiyu depart, a fierce hatred and murderous intent flickered in Lu Ming's eyes. His possessions were not easily taken. For now, they were merely stored in Guan Feiyu's custody. Although Lu Ming had just been startled by Guan Feiyu's audacity, he understood that there were ways to deal with him given his own stature. Unfazed, Guan Feiyu made his way down the mountain, mounted his war vehicle, and contemplated a meal before returning to strategize what preparations were necessary for the morrow. He had initially considered indulging in a lavish feast, yet found himself lacking funds. While the villa contained considerable wealth, the time was not yet ripe for withdrawal. After much deliberation, he concluded that a visit to the night market would be the most prudent choice. Sitting at a barbecue stall, Guan Feiyu had just placed his order when he suddenly spotted an individual, his expression shifting dramatically. His gaze dropped, fixating on an ancient ring adorning the person's left little finger. Chapter 5. Never mind, I concede. 5,000, I shall purchase it. The individual before Guan Feiyu was no ordinary person. Rather, the ring upon his finger was remarkable. In the apocalyptic world before his rebirth, the Wulong Villa district stood as the most opulent residential enclave, boasting comprehensive facilities. Numerous neighborhoods surrounded it, with an exceptionally large sewage pipe running beneath. One could barely walk within it if they bent down. Many, realizing the ground above was impassable, turned to the sewage pipe as an alternative. Through this conduit, various neighborhoods clashed fiercely, vying for food and resources from one another. The individual before Guan Feiyu hailed from one such neighborhood. After being recruited, he fortuitously unlocked the ring on his hand, gaining access to an infinite space capable of holding everything except living beings. Regrettably, at that time, even with this newfound space, he could only store items that now appeared to be mere junk. However, should Guan Feiyu acquire this ring now, unlocking its space would prove immensely beneficial. He could preemptively store vast quantities of food and resources within the ring. The caveat, of course, was its authenticity, as he had only heard whispers of it before his rebirth. Subsequently, the individual met his demise, and Guan Feiyu remained unaware of what became of the storage space. After all, he had merely acted as a subordinate to Lin Ziyu for the sake of Mu Qingqing. This information only came to light when Lin Ziyu, upon hearing from others, sought to seize the storage space. At that time, both Lin Ziyu and other factions within the Wulong Villa district incurred significant losses over the coveted storage space, leaving Xiao Bieli with a lasting impression of this individual. Though he remained oblivious to Guan Feiyu's name. Brother, that jade ring on your hand is quite exquisite. Would you consider selling it to me? Many around turned their attention to Guan Feiyu, yet he remained fixated on the person before him. Are you addressing me? The young man looked at Guan Feiyu in astonishment. Guan Feiyu glanced at the companion beside him, a woman of commendable stature, though she could not compare to the likes of Zhong Yunru. She still possessed an aura of goddess-like beauty in the eyes of ordinary folk. However, Guan Feiyu had not encountered her in the apocalyptic realm he had once known. Of course, these details were not the crux of the matter. With a smile, Guan Feiyu nodded. Brother, how about we sit down and converse? The young man surveyed Guan Feiyu, then glanced at his girlfriend. Upon seeing her nod in agreement, he pulled her down to sit. What would you like to eat, brother? It's on me. The young man shook his head, refraining from responding, his expression one of confusion as he regarded Guan Feiyu. If not for the presence of so many around, he might have suspected Guan Feiyu was a fraud. Guan Feiyu perceived the other's wariness but remained unfazed. May I inquire your surname, brother? My name is Zhang Xiaoyu. I wonder if there is something special about the ring I am wearing? Zhang Xiaoyu glanced at her ring, perplexed. Guan Feiyu looked at Zhang Xiaoyu's ring and remarked with a smile. I believe this jade ring is quite extraordinary. It must be a family heirloom. However, wearing it so casually may inevitably lead to its damage. Zhang Xiaoyu cast a glance at her boyfriend. In truth, this jade ring was not a family treasure. Rather, it was purchased during a leisurely stroll through an antique street, where Zhang Xiaoyu found it appealing and haggled to buy it for 50 yuan. Later, those around her mocked her, asserting that the ring was worth no more than 10 yuan. Zhang Xiaoyu, however, was unfazed. What mattered was her own fondness for it. To her astonishment, today Guan Feiyu claimed that the jade ring was indeed unusual and suggested it might be an heirloom. Could it be that she had stumbled upon a treasure? Just as Zhang Xiaoyu was about to speak, Zheng Jing interjected. Indeed, Xiaoyu's jade ring is a family heirloom. What did you mean when you mentioned buying it? Guan Feiyu immediately understood. Zhang Xiaoyu seemed to be a rather down-to-earth person, yet Zheng Jing appeared to be more cunning. Furthermore, her question suggested a keen interest in monetary gain. If it were truly a family heirloom, who would ask such a question? Guan Feiyu pretended not to notice and gazed intently at the jade ring, saying, May I take a closer look? Zheng Jing tugged at Zhang Xiaoyu, who understood her cue and removed the jade ring to show Guan Feiyu. He took the ring and examined it meticulously, although in truth, he possessed little knowledge and was merely putting on an act. Noticing Guan Feiyu's serious demeanor, Zheng Jing's eyes gleamed with calculation. So, what do you think? It must be a fine piece, right? Guan Feiyu began his performance, having concocted a deceptive narrative. He first nodded in feigned agreement, only to shake his head in disappointment before finally speaking. Indeed, it is an antiquity. Originally, this jade ring could be valued at 100,000. But due to significant wear, it is now worth at most 10,000. What a pity. Zhang Xiaoyu and Zheng Jing exchanged incredulous glances. Something that was purchased for 50 yuan was now purported to be worth 100,000? Even with depreciation, a valuation of 10,000 would still yield a substantial profit if sold. Yet, Zheng Jing was not one to easily accept Guan Feiyu's words. Sir, I believe your assessment is flawed. I do not see any wear on the jade ring. Guan Feiyu pointed out a scratch. Ladies, please observe this blemish here. And there as well. This already qualifies as a defective item, My offer of 10,000 is generous. Upon hearing this, Zheng Jing was outraged. How could something once valued at 100,000 plummet to 10,000, and now be reduced to 5,000? No one would accept such a drastic devaluation. Particularly for Zheng Jing, who was driven by financial gain. She could even contemplate engaging in dubious ventures. Accompanying Zhang Xiaoyu merely positioned her as an additional admirer and a consistent source of funds. If this jade ring can be sold, Zheng Jing is confident that all the money will go into her pocket. No, at least 20,000. Zheng Jing asserted resolutely. Guan Feiyu chuckled and shook his head, returning the jade ring to Zhang Xiaoyu. Don't even mention 20,000. 5,000 is already a fair price. Once it's in my hands, whether I can sell it is uncertain. I would be taking a risk even at 5,000, let alone 20,000, which is utterly impossible. Zhang Xiaoyu instinctively reached to take it back, but Zheng Jing snatched it away. After glancing at Guan Feiyu and confirming he was not jesting, she didn't want to let 5,000 slip away so easily. Fine, I see you are quite practical. I will sell it to you for 5,000. Zheng Jing remarked. Guan Feiyu felt a surge of joy, though his expression was furrowed. He had just mentioned the risks involved, and agreeing so readily might raise suspicions. Noticing Guan Feiyu's hesitation, Zheng Jing employed a tactic of provocation. Sir, as a man, would you truly go back on your word? There are so many witnesses around. Guan Feiyu frowned, glancing at the onlookers, and seemed to feel a bit embarrassed. All right, I concede, 5,000 it is. I'll buy it, he said reluctantly. It appeared as though Guan Feiyu was cornered, yet he was genuinely concerned that Zheng Jing might renege on the deal. Zheng Jing pulled out her phone and displayed the payment code. Guan Feiyu, with a disgruntled expression, transferred 5,000 and received the jade ring. Once the money was in her possession, Zheng Jing, fearing that the fool might change his mind, quickly grabbed Zhang Xiaoyu and left. Guan Feiyu, anxious that Zheng Jing might have a change of heart, promptly called out, Boss, pack it up. Chapter 6, help me notify the bank. I need to deposit this money into my account. Guan Feiyu received the items that the boss had packed and hurried home, taking out the jade ring. He was uncertain how to unlock it. Therefore, he resorted to the old method. He made a small cut on his finger, allowing his blood to drip onto the jade ring. Instantly, it emitted a radiant white light. Witnessing this, Guan Feiyu was elated. This was the second time he had encountered such a phenomenon today. The last time it was golden light, and now it was white. As the white light dissipated, Guan Feiyu felt a connection with the jade ring and sensed everything within it. Just as he had surmised, it contained an expansive space. As for its vastness, Guan Feiyu estimated that even if he ran inside, he would exhaust himself without ever reaching the end. Exiting the space, Guan Feiyu immediately tested whether the items he had purchased could be manipulated as described in novels. To his delight, the newly acquired items entered seamlessly. With a mere thought, they re-emerged. After several attempts, he confirmed that whatever entered would come out in the same condition. This left Guan Feiyu completely reassured. With the acquisition of a spatial ring, Guan Feiyu meticulously compiled an extensive list, longer than bandaged feet, detailing all the necessities based on his experiences in the apocalypse. Even items that may not be strictly essential were included, adhering to the principle of being prepared for any eventuality. The quantity of essential supplies was staggering. For instance, he marked down 1,000 tons of rice. Such a colossal amount would be sufficient to last him several lifetimes, even without accounting for other grains and foodstuffs. The motivation behind this preparation was Guan Feiyu's intention to form his own team in the future. This team would not only consist of his partner, but also include others, potentially their families as well. Thus, 1,000 tons of rice, alongside various other staples amounting to thousands of tons, seemed hardly excessive. Upon organizing his thoughts, Guan Feiyu confronted a crucial issue: money. Even if Lu Ming were to bestow all his funds upon him, it would only total around 300 million. The list he had compiled would require far more than 300 million, or even 500 million, especially considering the additional items he might later think of. A thought struck him. If he could not purchase the supplies, then he would resort to theft. If stealing proved impossible, he would resort to robbery, provided he could maintain his anonymity. Moreover, in his homeland, he believed in not deceiving his own people. That was his moral boundary. Since theft was not an option domestically, purchasing was the only recourse. After much contemplation, he resolved to pursue the path of advance payment, settling accounts in 2 months. Although this bore a resemblance to deceit, it was a commonplace practice in business. As for whether the other party would still come after him for payment in 2 months, that would depend on their fate. The remainder of his plans would have to be addressed abroad. However, those matters could wait until tomorrow. Guan Feiyu promptly began to cultivate according to the principles of the Huangdi Neijing. After a night had passed, whether due to a lack of spiritual energy or other factors, he felt that his state had not significantly improved. It seemed that any genuine advancement would hinge upon the uni chapter of the Huangdi Neijing. Fortunately, after a night of cultivation, he felt exceptionally refreshed and invigorated. Upon rising, he did not venture out, but instead continued to augment his already lengthy list. By 10 o'clock, a text message arrived on Guan Feiyu's phone. Glancing at it, he noted it contained an address. There was no need for speculation. Lu Ming had finalized the property deeds and summoned him for collection. Guan Feiyu harbored no concerns about Lu Ming betraying him. Presently, Lu Ming was likely preoccupied with identifying the informant against him and scrutinizing any past actions for potential vulnerabilities. If any existed, addressing them promptly was imperative. Guan Feiyu soon arrived at the pavilion on Wulong Mountain, the designated meeting place with Lu Ming. Following the directions, he located 2 property deeds. Gazing at the names inscribed on the deeds, he mused, had the apocalypse not occurred, with these 2 properties and 300 million in cash, he could have lived a life akin to that of a celestial being. Do not underestimate 300 million. Even the CEOs of companies worth tens of billions may not readily have such cash on hand. Cash is one entity, while assets are another, and the latter can depreciate. Guan Feiyu, brandishing a property deed and access card, eagerly made his way to the Wulong Villa community. With the access card, Xiao Bieli entered the community, swiftly locating Building B and ascending to the 28th floor, the topmost level. Each floor comprises a single unit, ensuring exceptional privacy, with spacious corridors. In the future, a camera at the entrance would provide comprehensive surveillance of the entire corridor, but for safety, it would be prudent to install at least 2 more. Upon entering the room after inputting the password, Guan Feiyu found himself overwhelmed by the sheer expanse of the residence, spanning over 1,000 square meters. It featured an array of rooms, including a reception area with several bathrooms. The opulent decor was nothing short of extravagant. However, Guan Feiyu felt the living quarters were somewhat insufficient. If the lower floor were unoccupied, perhaps he should acquire it as well and merge the spaces, creating a sprawling 2,000 square meters. This tempting notion prompted Guan Feiyu to depart hastily, soon arriving at Building A of the villa district. Using the access card again, Guan Feiyu entered the villa. The exterior boasted a generous courtyard, while the interior revealed a 2-story abode. Upon stepping inside, he was once more astounded. The decor surpassed that of the high-rise, exhibiting even greater luxury, notably featuring an indoor swimming pool. Although modest in size, it seemed extravagantly excessive. Guan Feiyu pondered how Lu Ming could justify such a lavish expenditure when he would not even reside there. After surveying the villa, he discovered 2 levels of basement. The first subterranean level housed various recreational amenities and a sizable storage room, while the second level served as a repository for miscellaneous items. Inspired by these findings, Guan Feiyu began formulating plans for renovations. Before proceeding, he resolved to deposit the recently acquired funds into the bank. It would be imprudent to carry cash for purchasing materials for the renovations. Such a course of action would surely raise suspicions regarding the legitimacy of his funds, as few would carry substantial amounts of cash in this day and age. However, he recognized that depositing such a large sum would inevitably attract the bank's attention. A sudden inspiration brought a smile to his face. Wouldn't it be simple for Lu Ming to handle such matters? Should Lu Ming encounter difficulties, Guan Feiyu would undoubtedly face repercussions. Yet, he had faith in Lu Ming's capabilities. With a month at his disposal, could he not resolve these issues? Even if he could not, Guan Feiyu believed 2 months would suffice. After 2 months, should Lu Ming's situation come to light, with the impending apocalypse, would the authorities dare to pursue him? Moreover, Guan Feiyu was confident that even if the apocalypse did not arrive, few would be bold enough to challenge him, especially considering he possessed the Huangdi Neijing. With the insights gleaned from the Huangdi Neijing on women, Guan Feiyu is convinced that his prowess will undoubtedly soar to new heights. Contemplating this, he dials a number, requesting, "Please inform the bank that I wish to deposit funds into my account." Chapter 7 reveals a critical disclosure. My life is in your hands. Lu Ming, seething with anger, retorts, "That is all my hard-earned money." "Very well. I shall make the call and arrange for the funds to be transferred," Lu Ming replied, suppressing his fury. Before long, Guan Feiyu receives a text from Lu Ming, detailing the fabricated rationale for such a substantial cash deposit. An explanation was indeed necessary. Guan Feiyu first utilized his spatial ring to transport the cash from the scrap metal factory. Coincidentally, the bank had dispatched several armored vehicles, led by the bank president himself. A group, upon receiving Guan Feiyu's consent, entered the villa to commence the counting of the cash. Thankfully, with ample personnel, after several cash-counting machines had begun to smoke, the over 300 million in cash was finally counted and deposited into Guan Feiyu's bank account. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, the bank president took his leave. Guan Feiyu glanced at the clock. Remarkably, it was already 3 in the afternoon. He was acutely aware of the urgency of time and could afford no delays. Exiting the villa, he hailed a taxi to the city's premier security company. This establishment not only offered standard security services, but also specialized in the renovation of safe houses. Guan Feiyu encountered no disdainful attitudes, for he had not only mastered the Huangdi Neijing, but also emanated an extraordinary presence, bolstered by the fortune of over 300 million in cash. Even though his attire may not have conveyed high fashion, his aura and confidence were unmistakable. Observing Guan Feiyu's self-assured demeanor, the reception staff promptly summoned the renovation team. "Good day, sir. My name is Du Gui, the renovation manager here. I understand you seek to undertake a property renovation?" Du Gui remarked with a smile. Guan Feiyu replied coolly, "If it were merely a standard renovation, I would not have sought your services." His words rendered Du Gui momentarily speechless. "Sir, may I inquire about the size of the property you wish to renovate? What are your specifications?" Du Gui, readjusting his demeanor, maintained his smile. Without a word, Guan Feiyu produced 2 property deeds. Du Gui, puzzled, opened the documents, and upon seeing the addresses, his expression shifted dramatically. The Wulong Villa community is one of the most sought-after neighborhoods in recent years. Populated not only by high-rise buildings, but also lavish villas, an enclave for the affluent, where a net worth of at least 10 million is a prerequisite for any property acquisition. The smallest units in Wulong exceed 1 million, and here stood a man with a 2,000 square meter villa and a 1,000 square meter flat, indicating a fortune exceeding 1 billion. Du Gui quickly donned what he believed to be his most charming smile. "Mr. Guan, may I ask whether you wish to renovate the villa or the flat? Please, do share your requirements. Our company will strive to meet your every need." Guan Feiyu glanced at Du Gui, stating, "Both the villa and the flat require renovation. 2 houses come with several requirements. Firstly, they must maintain an indoor temperature of approximately 30 degrees Celsius, even in the extreme condition of minus 100 degrees outdoors. Similarly, when the outdoor temperature is 100 degrees, the interior must also ensure a consistent 30 degrees. Secondly, durability is paramount. The structures must withstand both high and low temperatures without any issues. Additionally, they must be impervious to firearms and ammunition, capable of supporting several dozen to even 100 tons without compromising the integrity of the villa. The same stringent standards apply to windows and doors. The interior should feature a degree of distinction, ensuring comfort and aesthetic appeal while also guaranteeing safety. You may consider transforming it into a fortress, one that is fortified not only against external threats, but also internally. Thirdly, the project must be completed within a month and a half. Upon hearing Guan Feiyu's demands, Du Gui transitioned from surprise to shock. He had never undertaken such a task. This was the southern region, where the lowest temperatures rarely fell below minus 10 degrees. Guan Feiyu's insistence on standards suitable for minus 100 degrees seemed utterly ludicrous. Such a requirement was not merely impractical but indicative of someone lacking sound judgment. As for 100 degrees, that was preposterous. Although temperatures in the south could occasionally soar to 40 or even 50 degrees, 100 degrees was simply unfathomable. Did he think there was a volcano beneath? Moreover, the need for protection against firearms suggested an improbable military threat. Most alarmingly, the demand for completion within a month and a half was utterly unfeasible. Du Gui hesitated, stating, "Mr. Guan, while your first 2 requirements are challenging, they are achievable. However, completing the project in a month and a half is simply impossible." Guan Feiyu furrowed his brow, exuding an undeniable aura. "I have laid out my demands. You may now present your financial terms. If I cannot afford it, I will leave. If your company cannot meet my needs, I will seek another. In any case, these 3 stipulations are non-negotiable. They are my bottom line." Du Gui was taken aback by Guan Feiyu's commanding presence. He was the most formidable individual Du Gui had ever encountered. It was evident that someone with such a demeanor was not to be trifled with. Furthermore, Du Gui realized that this man preferred brevity and was not short on funds. Quickly calculating on his computer, Du Gui responded, "Mr. Guan, based on your requirements, achieving completion in a month and a half will necessitate 350 million. A 30% down payment is required, followed by another 30% within 3 months of completion, and the remainder settled within 6 months. Our company will provide a 10-year warranty. How does that sound?" Guan Feiyu nodded. "Draft the contract." Du Gui was taken aback. "Is that it? You're not going to negotiate, even if you're not inclined to lower the price? One should at least haggle or compare offers before signing a contract. How can one proceed directly to signing? If all business dealings were conducted like yours, we would be in a lucrative position." Noticing Du Gui's lack of action, Guan Feiyu raised an eyebrow. "Is there another issue?" Du Gui quickly waved his hands, insisting there was nothing more to discuss. He then rose to his feet and swiftly printed the contract. The complete security company possessed a template for similar agreements. With a few minor modifications, it could be readily utilized. Du Gui took the contract and presented it directly to Guan Feiyu. Guan Feiyu observed the thick document before him, likely longer than the list he had previously prepared. After all, it required detailed records of various materials and their specifications, making its bulk quite reasonable. However, without even glancing through it, Guan Feiyu signed his name at the bottom and promptly transferred 120 million yuan. The excess funds were intended as overtime pay and meal allowances for the workers. Yet, he made it clear, should there be any delays in completion or any lapse in quality, he would not hesitate to demonstrate his displeasure. As he spoke, he gestured towards a glass cup in the distance, which flew into his hand and was crushed effortlessly. Witnessing this, Du Gue realized the formidable strength of Guan Feiyu, the legendary figure he had heard whispers of, causing a cold sweat to break out on his brow. Rest assured, Du Gue stammered, I will personally oversee this project. I will be on site at your villa and penthouse around the clock. If any issues arise, my life will be in your hands. Guan Feiyu replied coldly, I trust you have surveillance here. Show this segment to your boss. If there is any flaw in my property, not only will you face consequences, but your boss's head will meet the same fate as this shattered cup. Now, let us proceed to my villa and penthouse for an inspection. I expect to see a design draft by tomorrow morning, and work can commence by the afternoon. Chapter 8. Sir, this is Zhao Jun's wife. If you have any thoughts, I may be able to assist. Although it was rather late, wealth commands respect. Furthermore, the man before her was not merely affluent but powerful. He was no ordinary benefactor, but rather a significant figure. Du Gue followed Guan Feiyu to the high-rise, meticulously recording the layout before proceeding to the villa. Initially, Guan Feiyu had acquired the 27 floors beneath him, but Du Gue informed him that they had been sold to a mysterious wealthy individual who was unlikely to sell back. Guan Feiyu was left with no choice but to abandon that plan, opting instead to make some adjustments to the layout of his penthouse. After Du Gue finished documenting the configurations, he departed, knowing he would have to work overtime to finalize the design plan. Failure to do so would jeopardize his life. Guan Feiyu decided to rest at the villa that night, with plans to spend more money the following day. Of course, with less than 200 million remaining. This amount was trivial to him. Just as Guan Feiyu prepared to meditate, he overheard a commotion outside, the voices belonging to a considerable number of individuals. Puzzled, he wondered why there would be a dispute in such a prestigious villa area, where residents typically refrained from causing such disturbances. Even in the event of a conflict, those of their stature would not engage in public quarrels. Intrigued, Guan Feiyu stepped outside the villa. Upon stepping outside, Guan Feiyu furrowed his brow and inquired, What are you doing? Are you really arguing at my doorstep? Do you believe I won't summon security to have you removed? The individuals outside, upon hearing Guan Feiyu's voice, immediately turned to look. Their faces paled upon realizing he stood at the entrance of the villa. They had never anticipated venturing into a residential enclave. Those who reside in such a prestigious area are invariably affluent. Disturbing Guan Feiyu would be tantamount to courting disaster. My apologies, sir. We did not expect to chase you here. We truly regret the intrusion and will take our leave at once. Guan Feiyu scrutinized the speaker, who appeared decidedly slick, accompanied by a group of individuals adorned with tattoos, clearly from a rough background. As he glanced at the others, his attention was captured by a man and a woman. The man bore visible injuries and scuff marks, evidently having been beaten. However, the focal point was the woman beside him, whom Guan Feiyu recognized. In the frigid apocalypse that followed his rebirth, Guan Feiyu had ventured out to forage for food for Mu Qingqing and Lin Ziyu. At that time, the Wulong Villa area teetered on the brink of chaos. Many had succumbed to starvation, and some women resorted to leveraging their physical allure for sustenance. Others were coerced by their families into similar exchanges. The woman before him, seemingly delicate, possessed an indomitable spirit, resolutely refusing to compromise her dignity. Tragically, she was betrayed by a heartless man who drugged her and sold her to a gang. After enduring 3 days of torment, she seized the opportunity to escape when her captors ventured out for provisions, incapacitating a guard and seizing some food. To her dismay, she encountered Guan Feiyu, who, having failed to find food, was on the verge of freezing to death. She selflessly offered him the scant provisions she had. As Guan Feiyu gradually regained consciousness, he was met with a liberating smile from the woman, who ultimately chose to leap from a window, seeking her own release. This visage had remained etched in Guan Feiyu's memory. The details of her plight had come to light later through Lin Ziyu's inquiries into the experiences of others. Yet, to this day, Guan Feiyu remained unaware of her name. Guan Feiyu studied the woman who had once saved his life in his previous existence. It must be noted that she was dressed elegantly, as would befit someone residing in such an affluent area, with a heart-shaped face and striking features. She embodied the archetype of a virtuous wife and devoted mother. Tall and statuesque, she stood approximately 1.70 meters, with a figure that, while not excessively voluptuous, was certainly appealing. Noticing Guan Feiyu's scrutiny, the woman instinctively stepped behind the man. Guan Feiyu turned his gaze back to the individual who had spoken to him. Who are you? What is the meaning of this commotion? The man quickly donned a conciliatory smile and replied, Sir, I am Wang Qian, the business manager of Longhu Credit. The man is named Zhao Jun, who established a network company that initially thrived. However, he fell into the vice of gambling, leading him to mortgage both his company and properties, ultimately losing them all. Subsequently, he borrowed 5 million from our company, and with interest, the amount has now escalated to 5,500,000. Today, we have come to collect the debt. But unexpectedly, we have crossed paths with you. I hope you can show some leniency for Master Hu and allow us to depart. Guan Feiyu's gaze sharpened in an instant, fixating on Wang Qian. While Wang Qian's earlier words were acceptable, the final phrase bore a threatening undertone. What does it mean to show Master Hu a favor? What if I refuse? Guan Feiyu let out a cold snort. If you only spoke the prior words, it would be of no concern. One must pay for murder with their life and settle debts with money. There is nothing to elaborate upon. However, what does your last statement imply? Are you threatening me? Wang Qian was taken aback. Isn't that quite normal? Before he could utter another word, Guan Feiyu waved his hand forcefully, sending Wang Qian flying. He collided with a tree 5 meters away and fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Everyone present looked at Guan Feiyu in disbelief. They had never anticipated that he could send Wang Qian flying without any physical contact. The phrase true energy released. Innate realm instantly sprang to their minds. Under normal circumstances, had their leader been injured to the point of spitting blood, they would have rushed to regain their honor. Yet, faced with someone like Guan Feiyu, only a fool would charge forward. Was their blood not valuable? Even if blood held little worth, one's life certainly did. Wang Qian could not blame his subordinates. Had he been in their position, he too would have refrained from acting. Moreover, Wang Qian was acutely aware that today he had inadvertently offended a formidable individual. If they could not persuade the other party to let them go, Master Hu would not spare them upon their return. After all, Wang Qian understood that even when combined, Master Hu's subordinates and any allies they could muster would not stand a chance against Guan Feiyu. At this moment, the only path to survival lay in seeking the other party's forgiveness. Wang Qian struggled to his feet and approached Guan Feiyu, speaking respectfully. Sir, I was in the wrong, and I am willing to accept punishment. I hope you can spare my subordinates. Guan Feiyu glanced at him, recognizing that this was not the time for further complications. Nonetheless, he did not wish for the woman he had saved to suffer a fate similar to that of his past life. He must rescue her. The dilemma was that he and the other party had no prior connection. Any hasty remarks or actions might provoke disdain or wariness. Unbeknownst to him, Guan Feiyu's attention had shifted to the woman beside Wang Qian. Noticing Guan Feiyu's unwavering gaze on Zhao Jun's wife, Wang Qian immediately interjected. Sir, this is Zhao Jun's wife. If you have any intentions, perhaps I could be of assistance. Upon hearing this, the woman's complexion paled dramatically. Guan Feiyu's expression shifted to one of delight, only to quickly revert to normal. Humph. Do you think I, Guan Feiyu, am that kind of person? Wang Qian fixed his gaze upon Guan Feiyu, noticing the fleeting joy upon his face, and realized that Guan Feiyu's words were merely a facade for the sake of his image. Such occurrences were not foreign to Wang Qian. Mr. Guan is right. My perspective was indeed narrow, he conceded. Mr. Guan, if you don't mind, I must attend to some matters first. Guan Feiyu remained silent, his expression unaltered, tacitly granting his approval. Wang Qian turned to Zhao Jun, clutching his chest, and said, Zhao Jun, repay the money. If you dare to withhold it today, I shall have someone break your leg. Zhao Jun's complexion paled dramatically. He had recently witnessed Wang Qian's ruthlessness, which was nothing short of brutal. Having narrowly escaped earlier, he now found himself ensnared once more. With Wang Qian's threat, it was evident he meant business. A thought flickered in Zhao Jun's mind as he glanced at Guan Feiyu. He had observed how Guan Feiyu appraised his wife moments ago. Zhao Jun was acutely aware of his wife's beauty and figure. If he could persuade her to entertain Guan Feiyu, perhaps he could extricate himself from this perilous situation. Falling to his knees before Guan Feiyu, he grasped the latter's thigh, pleading, Mr. Guan, please, I implore you to save me. If you are willing to help, I shall offer my wife to you. What do you think? Wang Qian mused that Zhao Jun was rather shrewd. However, Zhao Jun's wife gasped in disbelief, never anticipating that her husband would utter such a thing. Zhao Jun, we have been together for 7 years. I have never looked down upon you. Yet today you wish to give me away. How can you betray me so? She cried. Zhao Jun, exasperated, retorted, Zhao Shiyan, indeed you have been with me for 7 years, but I am but a useless man. In the beginning, you wouldn't let me touch you, and on our wedding day, I suffered an accident that stripped me of my manhood. For years, I have supported you, even providing for your parents. Now that I am in trouble, why should you not assist me? Guan Feiyu paused, immediately discerning that Zhao Shiyin was likely still innocent. For Zhao Jun's loss of dignity suggested a grave affliction. Should Zhao Shiyin join him and facilitate his mastery of the Yunu chapter from the Huangdi Neijing, the benefits would be immense. Although the text does not explicitly state the significance of the first time, it is evident that it holds great importance. However, Guan Feiyu was aware that while Zhao Shiyin appeared delicate, her spirit was quite resolute. Coercion would not suffice. He would need to ensure she willingly followed him. The first step toward winning her heart was to sever her ties to Zhao Jun completely. With a cold snort, Guan Feiyu declared, Zhao Jun, your wife is a person, not a commodity. Do you think we live in the past, where lives can be bought and sold? Both Zhao Jun and Wang Qian were taken aback by Guan Feiyu's outright rejection. Under normal circumstances, one would expect him to acquiesce and resort to force. Even if Zhao Shiyin were to create a scene afterward and Zhao Jun were to retract his words, with individuals like Wang Qian providing evidence for Guan Feiyu, it would ultimately lead to an inconclusive end given Guan Feiyu's capabilities. What does Guan Feiyu's current refusal signify? Even Zhao Shiyin had not anticipated such a response from him. She had observed how Guan Feiyu regarded himself not long ago. A glance from Guan Feiyu met Wang Qian's eyes, and Wang Qian immediately comprehended that Guan Feiyu did not harbor a dislike for Zhao Shiyin, but rather disapproved of such tactics. In a moment of clarity, Wang Qian discerned the appropriate course of action, for he was indeed an astute individual. He confronted Zhao Jun with fervor. What do you take Mr. Guan for? If Mr. Guan sought companionship, would he pursue another man's wife? As he spoke, Wang Qian inadvertently aggravated his wound, grimacing in pain. Zhao Jun, having once held a managerial position, was naturally perceptive. At that moment, his mind raced faster than a CPU, quickly grasping the implications. Manager Wang, while I cannot repay the 5 million or even 500,000, I can find a way for 350,000. How about this? Grant me a month, and I shall certainly repay you the 350,000. Would that be acceptable? Zhao Jun inquired. Wang Qian felt a flicker of understanding regarding Zhao Jun's intentions. To facilitate Guan Feiyu's objectives, Wang Qian cooperatively asked, and what about the 200,000? Zhao Jun promptly replied, I am not yet divorced. The debts owed to your company are considered joint liabilities. Since Zhao Shiyin has rejected my proposal, I shall divorce her. At that point, this portion will be deemed joint debt. I will assume the 350,000, and the remaining debt will fall upon her, so you may pursue her for it. Wang Qian had already deduced Zhao Jun's plan and was not particularly surprised. However, Guan Feiyu had not anticipated such a turn of events. The most astonished of all was Zhao Shiyin. She could hardly believe that the man she had spent 7 years with, who had vowed to never abandon her and to shield her from any grievances, would utter such words. Was this truly an instance of self-preservation in dire circumstances? Wang Qian contemplated briefly before responding, It is not impossible, but you are not yet divorced. Zhao Jun immediately interjected. No, we shall proceed with the divorce tomorrow morning. Wang Qian, incensed, retorted, Do you take me for a fool? There is a 1-month cooling-off period for divorce. And by the time you finalize it, my 550,000 will escalate to 600,000. At that moment, a subordinate interjected, Manager Wang. You could find someone to annul the cooling-off period for the divorce. Wang Qian pondered. Given his status, he lacked such authority, but Hu Yi undoubtedly did. To avoid offending Guan Feiyu, and even to curry favor with him, Wang Qian was convinced that Hu Yi would acquiesce. Very well, let us proceed with that plan. Shao Go, ensure they gather their identification and necessary documents, and escort them to finalize the divorce first thing tomorrow morning, Wang Qian stated calmly. Wang Qian turned to Guan Feiyu, shedding the imposing demeanor he had when facing Zhao Jun, and instead displayed a sycophantic smile. Mr. Guan, I truly apologize for disturbing your rest. Might I inquire if you would be available to visit our Fenghu Credit Company tomorrow? The implication behind Wang Qian's words was straightforward. Tomorrow, we shall facilitate the divorce of Zhao Jun and his wife, and in your presence, we shall release them, allowing you the freedom to act as you wish, with no further interference from us. Of course, whether Master Hu will test your resolve or adhere to the current plan depends on your capabilities. Guan Feiyu understood Wang Qian's intentions, recognizing this as the latter's final act of defiance. A thought flickered in his mind as he recalled his old house. In dire need of funds and now possessing a villa and a spacious apartment, that old residence had become redundant. It would serve well as collateral for Fenghu Credit Company. He was confident they would offer him a satisfactory price. Regarding Zhao Shiyin, Guan Feiyu believed that within the span of a single night, Wang Qian and the so-called master who would not dare to take any action against her. Nodding, Guan Feiyu replied, Very well. I shall visit your Fenghu Credit Company tomorrow morning, and I also have an old house to pledge to you. Chapter 10. Assist me with matters for 2 months. during which time I shall not compel you to undertake anything against your will." Wang Qian's expression shifted slightly. He sensed that Guan Feiyu intended to offer compensation. However, a civilized individual would certainly not resort to the same tactics as they did, fabricating excuses merely to extort money. A person of refinement would present something of minimal value and then demand an exorbitant price in return. As for taking charge of Zhao Shiyan, that was merely a secondary concern. Although such thoughts crossed Wang Qian's mind, he felt considerable displeasure yet dared not reveal it. After all, displaying his sentiments now might not lead to immediate demise, but it could jeopardize his opportunity to meet Master Hu. There were countless ways along this route for Guan Feiyu to eliminate him, and it must be acknowledged that Wang Qian's inner monologue was quite elaborate and imaginative. Guan Feiyu did not linger for idle chatter and turned back to the villa. Wang Qian, instead of heading to the hospital, accompanied Zhao Shiyan and Zhao Jun to meet Master Hu. Despite his injuries, Guan Feiyu returned to his quarters to commence his training. The next morning, at 8 o'clock, Du Gui arrived at Guan Feiyu's villa, looking fatigued, and presented 2 design proposals for Guan Feiyu to review. Although Guan Feiyu lacked expertise in such matters, he was quite pleased with the renderings. He handed Du Gui the room card and password, leaving the remaining details to him. Returning to the old residence, Guan Feiyu took the property deed and headed directly to Fenghu Credit Company. At that moment, Wang Qian had regained much of his composure and awaited Guan Feiyu downstairs. Upon seeing Guan Feiyu's arrival, Wang Qian approached respectfully, saying, "Mr. Guan, Master Hu is waiting for you in the office." Without uttering a word, Guan Feiyu followed Wang Qian to an office on the upper floor. To his surprise, both Zhao Jun and Zhao Shiyan were present, one filled with trepidation, the other shrouded in a solemn silence, tears brimming in her eyes, conveying profound sorrow. Seated in the grand chair behind the desk was a corpulent man, weighing approximately 250 to 60 pounds, accompanied by 4 bodyguards. Guan Feiyu plopped down across from him, placing the property deed on the table. Master Hu, puffing on a cigar, regarded Guan Feiyu's casual demeanor in his office with considerable displeasure. However, following the events of the previous night, when Wang Qian returned injured and recounted the incident, Master Hu found himself caught between disbelief and caution. After all, if the tale were true, he could scarcely afford to provoke someone of Guan Feiyu's stature. With a hearty laugh, Master Hu proclaimed, "I have heard that Mr. Guan is a formidable martial artist. I, Wang Hu, have always held great respect for practitioners of martial arts. Today, Mr. Guan's presence graces my humble establishment, elevating the status of Fenghu Credit Company." Guan Feiyu discerned that Master Hu's words were laced with skepticism, a veiled request for a display of his prowess. The rest was mere pleasantries. Noticing the kettle and teacups on the side table, Guan Feiyu waved his hand, summoning the vessels toward him. The cup landed gracefully before him, while the kettle settled firmly in his grasp. Pouring himself a cup, he drank it down in one swift motion. Witnessing this spectacle, Master Hu's expression shifted dramatically. He realized Wang Qian's words bore truth. This man before him was indeed a likely candidate for the legendary innate strongman. Such an individual was not one he could afford to offend. With a smile that quickly morphed into an ingratiating grin, his cheeks nearly bursting with fat, Master Hu listened attentively as Guan Feiyu tossed the property deed in his direction. "I intend to use this property as collateral to secure a loan. How much can you offer me?" Internally, Master Hu fumed. "You, sir, already possess a villa, yet you wish to leverage another property while using yesterday's incident to coerce me into providing a loan. Is this truly collateral? It appears more akin to a brazen demand for funds. If I offer less, you may well turn hostile." This transaction was far more refined than outright robbery. Even if he were to face legal repercussions, there would be little recourse given the collateral. After a cursory glance at the deed, Master Hu noted that the property was quite antiquated, at best worth around 1 million. Generally, such a property might yield a loan of 50,000, and yet, the pressing question remained. Could he even afford to offer that much now? "Mr. Guan, I am acutely aware of the location of your property. I can extend a loan of 5 million, Master Hu ventured cautiously. Startled, Guan Feiyu felt a wave of disbelief wash over him. He was well aware of his property's true value. It was indeed a $1 million asset, yet it had been inflated to 5 million in Master Hu's estimation. Initially, Guan Feiyu had anticipated a loan of 2 million as quite generous, indicating that his earlier display had indeed intimidated Master Hu. Tentatively, he inquired, "How much?" Master Hu's face paled, sensing that Guan Feiyu was dissatisfied with the figure he had proposed. If Guan Feiyu were to take action against him now, how many seconds could he expect to survive? The Tiger Lord was drenched in cold sweat. "Mr. Guan, upon further examination, this property can be mortgaged for 10 million. Guan Feiyu was taken aback. He had only uttered 2 words, and the amount had doubled from 5 million to 10 million. He pondered whether he should inquire further. but thought better of it. A cornered rabbit might bite, so it was wise not to push too far. Very well, then. 10 million it is. With an expression of calm, Guan Feiyu poured himself another glass of water and produced his bank card. Transfer it to this account. Wang Qian took the card and handed it to a subordinate, who promptly went to complete the transaction. Guan Feiyu casually shifted in his seat, leading Wang Qian to believe he was inquiring about Zhao Shiyan and Zhao Jun's situation. Mr. Guan, Miss Zhao and Zhao Jun have already divorced. Zhao Jun has taken on 350,000 in debt, while Miss Zhao has assumed 200,000. Guan Feiyu was perplexed by the means Wang Qian employed to expedite their divorce without a cooling-off period. He also wondered why Zhao Shiyan would agree to bear 200,000 in debt. However, upon seeing her ashen expression upon hearing the news, he surmised that Wang Qian must have employed some coercive tactics. Based on his limited understanding of Zhao Shiyan, she would not have consented under normal circumstances. It was likely that Wang Qian had threatened her family. In a world that was not apocalyptic, Zhao Shiyan might have viewed the absence of her family as a form of liberation, but now, with her family used as leverage, she had no choice but to accept the burden of the debt. Guan Feiyu rose and turned towards Zhao Shiyan, who was not far away. Miss Zhao, what are your plans? In truth, he wanted to ask, do you harbor resentment towards me? Although this matter had little to do with him. Had it not been for his interest in Zhao Shiyan, Wang Qian might not have acted so ruthlessly. Naturally, even in the absence of an apocalypse and without Guan Feiyu's gaze, Zhao Shiyan's fate would not have been much better with a husband like Zhao Jun. Zhao Shiyan's lifeless gaze lingered on Guan Feiyu for a long moment, then glanced at Zhao Jun before returning to Guan Feiyu, ultimately shaking her head. If he had not gambled himself, how could this have happened? Without Mr. Guan's involvement, I doubt he would have allowed me to take on 200,000 in debt to leave him, she said with a bitter smile. Guan Feiyu was surprised by Zhao Shiyan's clarity of thought. Given this understanding, he spoke directly. I can bear your 200,000, but in return, you must assist me for 2 months. During this time, I will not compel you to do anything against your will. After 2 months, you may choose your own path. What do you think? Chapter 11. A different person might strive for a decade to achieve something. 2 months from now, the world would descend into chaos, and Zhao Shiyan would find it impossible to leave. From the moment she laid eyes on Guan Feiyu, she sensed his interest in her. However, she did not anticipate such a proposition. Was he attempting to deceive her? Yet, in his sincere gaze, she discerned the truth. Moreover, even someone as formidable as Master Hu harbors a fear of Guan Feiyu. Should Guan Feiyu wish to manipulate him, he need not utter a word. A mere glance would suffice for individuals like Master Hu and Wang Qian to ensure the task is accomplished. They might even bind themselves and present themselves before Guan Feiyu. Even now, Guan Feiyu has not explicitly stated his intentions. Yet, from the way Master Hu and Wang Qian perceive him, they have already executed matters to this extent. Is what you say true? Zhao Shiyan questioned, her disbelief evident. Guan Feiyu replied with a smile, with my capabilities. Do you truly think I would find it necessary to deceive you? Zhao Shiyan had just come to grasp this point, though she remained uncertain about what Guan Feiyu desired from her. Mr. Guan, I can agree to assist you, but I shall not engage in any illegal activities. Furthermore, although I am a university graduate, I have only briefly managed a storage facility. I possess little knowledge beyond that. Zhao Shiyan was making her position clear. To her surprise, Guan Feiyu's eyes brightened. What he required was someone to procure vast quantities of resources domestically and manage their storage, allowing him to venture abroad to procure those materials illicitly. Zhao Shiyan's experience was serendipitous, akin to finding the perfect pillow for a weary head. Guan Feiyu remarked, if you were to ask me to engage in unlawful activities, I would decline, for I seek legitimate means to acquire wealth, of which there are many. Since you have experience in managing a warehouse, I require your assistance in that regard, as I intend to purchase numerous items. It made sense. With Guan Feiyu's prowess, engaging in illegal activities would be beneath him. Had he not just rationally earned 10 million? Zhao Shiyan nodded. Very well, I shall assist you, Mr. Guan. Guan Feiyu then turned to Master Hu, who in turn looked at Wang Qian. Wang Qian promptly produced a contract and respectfully extended it to Guan Feiyu, stating, Mr. Guan, this is Miss Zhao's loan agreement. Guan Feiyu accepted the contract, barely glancing at it before crumpling it in his hand, rendering it more pulverized than if it had been fed to a shredder. From this moment forth, Zhao Shiyan is under my protection. Should she or her family suffer even a hair's loss, I will hold you accountable. I trust you will not compel me to address such matters with you, Guan Feiyu asserted with commanding authority. Master Hu quickly assured him, rest assured, Mr. Guan. Henceforth, Miss Zhao shall be treated as Mrs. Guan, and her family shall be my elders. I shall honor them even more than my own parents. Upon hearing the title Mrs. Guan, Zhao Shiyan's cheeks flushed. Witnessing Guan Feiyu's silence, she found him to be a more reliable man, far superior to Zhao Jun, who merely wielded flowery words. As for Zhao Jun's affairs, they bore no relevance to her. Upon uttering this, Master Hu cast a glance at Zhao Jun, his eyes brimming with animosity. A mere Zhao Jun had nearly caused him to offend a person of Guan Feiyu's stature, resulting in a loss of 2 million. This 2 million must be repaid by Zhao Jun, in addition to the 350,000 he owed, totaling a staggering 1,550,000. Should Zhao Jun fail to repay, he would be dismantled and sold for parts. At that moment, a subordinate returned, holding Guan Feiyu's bank card. Guan Feiyu took the bank card and said nonchalantly, "Let's go." Zhao Shiyin was momentarily taken aback, but quickly followed suit. The group led by Hu Yi broke into smiles upon seeing Zhao Shiyin exit, but their expressions swiftly morphed into rage, directed not at Guan Feiyu or Zhao Shiyin, but rather at Zhao Jun. As for Zhao Jun's impending fate, it was no longer Guan Feiyu's concern. Guan Feiyu escorted Zhao Shiyin out of the Fenghu Credit Company, where she wore an expression of anxiety. At that moment, he remarked, "You shall accompany me to the hotel." Zhao Shiyin's complexion changed dramatically. To the hotel? What does Guan Feiyu intend to do? Observing her sudden shift in demeanor, Guan Feiyu chuckled, "My residence is currently undergoing renovations, and I presume you lack a suitable place to stay. You need to freshen up, and I must inform you of your forthcoming tasks." Zhao Shiyin exhaled deeply and nodded awkwardly. The pair soon arrived at a 5-star hotel, where Guan Feiyu promptly booked a presidential suite. Although he was preparing to travel abroad and needed to purchase numerous items, he believed he deserved a modicum of luxury. After all, Zhao Shiyin would be residing there regularly once he left. Moreover, after years of hard work, was it not time for him to indulge himself? Upon entering the suite, Guan Feiyu instructed, "Go take a shower." Without overthinking, Zhao Shiyin immediately headed for the bathroom. Guan Feiyu felt a stir of inspiration and swiftly operated his phone. Before long, a set of women's clothing, including lingerie, was delivered. Coincidentally, Zhao Shiyin emerged shyly from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel. In truth, she had finished her shower some time ago, but she had hesitated to put on her clothes for fear of wasting her bath. After a moment of internal conflict, she finally stepped out bashfully. Guan Feiyu found himself struggling to maintain composure at the sight of her. Although the towel concealed most of her, her shoulders and long legs were still exposed. Her straight, long legs, skin as smooth as milk, prominent collarbone, and exquisite features made it challenging for him to remain unaffected. With a hint of awkwardness, Guan Feiyu said, I just bought these clothes for you. I'm not sure if they will fit, but please change into them, and we can discuss matters afterward." Zhao Shiyin was taken aback by his thoughtful gesture. Such consideration had been shown by Zhao Jun in the past, but it had long vanished after their marriage. Moreover, she recognized that Guan Feiyu had genuinely been astonished by her appearance, yet still encouraged her to change. It appeared he truly meant what he said. Clutching the outfit, Zhao Shiyin rushed back into the bathroom and quickly changed. When she re-emerged, Guan Feiyu felt his throat involuntarily tighten. It was a natural reaction to swallow. At that moment, Zhao Shiyin was clad in a suit and a short skirt, paired with a shirt that strained against her figure, its buttons desperately holding on as if on the verge of bursting. The sight of her black stockings was simply irresistible, igniting a desire to tear them away. "Please, take a seat," Guan Feiyu said, his speech somewhat faltering. Zhao Shiyin's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, for she had never donned such attire before. Upon glancing at herself in the mirror moments ago, she had felt an overwhelming sense of beauty. Once seated, she found her legs awkwardly misplaced, the skirt decidedly too short. Guan Feiyu shifted slightly, unsure whether to maintain the guise of a gentleman or to alleviate the discomfort brought on by their camaraderie. Witnessing Guan Feiyu's respectful demeanor made Zhao Shiyin's heart race. Had it been another person, they might have resorted to extreme measures for personal gain. Now, let us discuss serious matters. Chapter 12. Are you disrespecting Mr. Guan? Or are you slapping my tiger's face? Upon hearing that Guan Feiyu indeed had serious matters to address, Zhao Shiyin immediately composed herself, focusing intently on him. Guan Feiyu produced a list longer than a roll of bandages and handed it to Zhao Shiyin. Confused, she unfolded the list and was instantly taken aback. It contained not only staple foods like rice and flour, but also an array of fruits, various meats, and an overwhelming assortment of miscellaneous items. The quantities were staggering: 1,000 tons of rice, 1,000 tons of flour, and several thousand tons of assorted meats, not to mention an endless supply of instant noodles. Water was listed without limit. To her astonishment, there were even peculiar requests, such as downloading countless television dramas, movies, games, and variety shows onto USB drives. Was this truly necessary? Who doesn't own a computer? Even those without one surely possess a mobile phone. Couldn't one simply watch these on their phone without the need for downloading? And that wasn't all. The list also included generators, winter clothing, charcoal, and other assorted items. It could be said that this list encompassed everything imaginable. Mr. Guan, I find myself at a loss for words, Zhao Shiyin admitted. Guan Feiyu waved his hand dismissively. Do not inquire further. The items listed are merely the minimum requirements. Should circumstances allow, feel free to add more without limit. Additionally, if there are items not on this list that you can think of, you may include them as well. Your responsibility is to oversee the storage of these items and to maintain accurate records. Furthermore, we will need to rent a cold storage facility and a large warehouse. Though Zhao Shiyin was uncertain of Guan Feiyu's intentions, she felt compelled to follow his directives without further questioning. After pondering for a considerable time, Guan Feiyu realized he could not quickly secure a cold storage facility or warehouse. It wasn't due to a lack of options, but rather the absence of connections. A thought struck him. While he might lack the means, Lu Ming certainly had the resources. However, he decided against troubling Lu Ming for such trivial matters. Ultimately, Guan Feiyu's attention turned to Master Hu. Given that Master Hu had established a substantial credit company, he undoubtedly had connections in both the legitimate and underground spheres. He would be the most suitable person to assist with the warehouse rental, and even purchasing supplies could be facilitated through him. With this in mind, Guan Feiyu promptly placed a call to Master Hu. The phone number was given to Guan Feiyu by the front desk before he departed, as instructed by Master Hu. Initially, Guan Feiyu deemed it unnecessary and planned to discard it, yet now it proved to be of use. Who is it? Are you not aware of my current displeasure? If a reasonable explanation is not provided, I shall have your head, Master Hu declared with ire. Having recently incurred a loss exceeding 10 million, anyone in his position would understandably be in a foul mood. Guan Feiyu coldly retorted, Master Hu, your assertiveness is commendable. Is this a manifestation of dissatisfaction towards me? Guan Feiyu? Master Hu pondered who Guan Feiyu was. Upon glancing at the property deed, his countenance shifted drastically, and his tone instantly became obsequious. I apologize, Mr. Guan. A subordinate of mine acted inappropriately, which incited my anger. I harbor no discontent towards you. He hastily redirected the conversation. Might I inquire what matters you wish to discuss? Mr. Guan. Anxiously, Master Hu contemplated why Guan Feiyu had contacted him so swiftly. If Guan Feiyu were to command him to undertake something he was unwilling to do, what then? Could he refuse? Reasons for refusal were easily found, yet his life might be at stake. Guan Feiyu, disinterested in trifles, stated flatly, I have several tasks for you. Master Hu recognized that the moment had arrived, and Guan Feiyu spoke with an authoritative tone, leaving no room for refusal. Reluctantly, Master Hu braced himself and said, Please, Mr. Guan, instruct me. I shall ensure the tasks are executed flawlessly. Guan Feiyu spoke with gravity, outlining his demands. First, procure a cold storage and a warehouse, ideally adjacent and spacious. I require them for 2 to 3 months, and I expect this to be completed today. Second, I need to make numerous purchases, as I have matters to attend to. Assign this responsibility to Shiyin, and assist her in finding the necessary channels. Rest assured, these acquisitions pertain to everyday necessities and do not cross any lines. Third, Shiyin may require additional support. Enlist a few reliable individuals to assist her. All transactions must adhere to commercial standards. I shall not owe anyone a debt, nor do I wish to be undermined. Execute these tasks well, and upon my completion of current engagements, I may impart some invaluable knowledge to you. What do you think? Upon hearing this, Master Hu could not suppress a sigh of relief. He had anticipated a weightier matter. Instead, it was merely these trivialities. Rest assured, Mr. Guan, you can entrust this task to me. I will ensure full cooperation with the lady. Should any issues arise, I shall present myself before you, he quickly assured. The matters entrusted by Guan Feiyu were urgent, yet not overly complicated. However, urgency could pose a challenge. Was urgency truly more daunting than illegality? Guan Feiyu asserted, Very well. I entrust this to you. Should you succeed, I will offer you guidance. Should you fail, do not worry about presenting yourself, for I shall make your existence unbearable. But remember, you have only 2 months to accomplish these tasks. After finishing the conversation, Guan Feiyu promptly ended the call. Zhao Shiyin gazed anxiously at Guan Feiyu, not due to any apprehension about him, but rather from the thought of encountering someone as formidable as Master Hu. Sensing her unease, Guan Feiyu reassured her with a smile, saying, There is no need to be nervous or fearful. Should he ever act insincerely or show you any disrespect, simply call me, and I shall personally instruct him on how to conduct himself. For reasons unknown, Zhao Shiyin felt an immediate sense of comfort from his words. Guan Feiyu took out his phone and sent a text message. Shortly thereafter, he received a reply, which was from Lu Ming, as he needed to travel abroad. He required a passport, a task best entrusted to Lu Ming for its expedience. Lu Ming agreed. Well then, let us take a stroll and grab a bite to eat. For I shall be departing tomorrow, Guan Feiyu said with a smile. Zhao Shiyin did not inquire about his destination, merely following along. The two left the hotel, with Guan Feiyu leading Zhao Shiyan to a shopping mall, where he purchased numerous items for her. In truth, these possessions carried little significance for Zhao Shiyan, aside from their expense. After all, Zhao Jun had previously been a businessman and had treated her well, thus she lacked for nothing. However, the exorbitance of these items was somewhat astonishing. As they wandered until midday, they had a casual meal. Guan Feiyu then received a call from Master Hu, who confirmed that the negotiations regarding the cold storage and warehouse had been finalized. If convenient, he could take Guan Feiyu to inspect the premises immediately. Guan Feiyu, accompanied by Zhao Shiyan, proceeded to the location indicated by Master Hu. Upon arrival, they found Master Hu waiting alongside Wang Qian and two bodyguards, with two other managers accompanying him, all wearing forced smiles. As soon as Master Hu spotted Guan Feiyu and Zhao Shiyan, he hurried over, his rotund figure jiggling amusingly. Mr. Guan, Mrs. Guan, you have arrived. These two are the managers of the warehouse and cold storage, he proclaimed, extending the same warm demeanor he had received from the managers to Guan Feiyu and Zhao Shiyan. The managers, witnessing Master Hu's deference to the young couple, understood the gravity of their presence. Guan Feiyu calmly requested, "Please, make the introductions." One of the managers replied, "Mr. Guan, my warehouse spans 120,000 square meters and is impeccably maintained. Would you care to take a look?" Guan Feiyu nodded, and the manager led the way, soon revealing a vast warehouse. Indeed, it was quite expansive, equipped with various transportation vehicles. Seeing Guan Feiyu's satisfaction, the manager exhaled in relief. The other manager quickly interjected, "Mr. Guan, my cold storage is adjacent and covers approximately 20,000 square meters." Following this, the group proceeded to inspect the cold storage. Guan Feiyu was quite satisfied with the arrangement. "I need to rent for 2 or 3 months. How much will it cost?" His casual demeanor was intentional, aiming to convey a sense of ease rather than rigidity. After all, in the realm of business, stating 2 months could lead to unforeseen delays, risking the possibility of others being contacted in the interim, thus creating a predicament. Therefore, Guan Feiyu preferred to extend the rental by an additional month. The two responsible parties exchanged glances, momentarily at a loss for words. After all, this was someone even the formidable tiger dared not offend. They truly did not know how much to charge. With a furrowed brow, Guan Feiyu stated, "The price should reflect its worth." The warehouse manager replied, "Mr. Guan, our warehouse typically charges 1 yuan per square meter per day, amounting to 3.6 million for a month and 10.8 million for 3 months. If you choose to rent, I can round it down to 10 million for you. Naturally, you may use the vehicles within freely, and we will take responsibility for any repairs needed." The cold storage manager added, "Mr. Guan, our cold storage operates at the same rate, with the electricity costs borne by you. For 3 months, it would be 1.8 million, but if you decide to rent, I can reduce it to 1.5 million. Upon hearing this, Tiger seized the opportunity to assert himself, impatience evident in his voice. "Mr. Guan, utilizing your warehouse is a privilege for you, and you only discount a mere few hundred thousand? Are you showing Mr. Guan disrespect or challenging my authority?" He proposed, "Let us settle on 9 million for the warehouse and 1.2 million for the cold storage." The two managers felt the weight of their predicament, but could only maintain forced smiles. "Tiger, you are absolutely right. Having Mr. Guan use our warehouse is indeed an honor." Guan Feiyu, ever prudent, was unwilling to part with a single cent more than necessary. Once the agreement was signed and the funds transferred, he stated, "Please assist me in finding drivers for those vehicles." Having already waived over 2 million in fees, could they truly be concerned about an additional 10 or 20,000 for workers' wages? "Rest assured, Mr. Guan, we will take care of this minor detail without needing you to mention it," replied the managers. Guan Feiyu remained silent, showing no inclination to depart. The two managers understood he had more to discuss with Tiger and quickly sought an excuse to leave. "Shiyan, please show Tiger my list," Guan Feiyu said calmly. Zhao Shiyan produced the list and handed it to Tiger. Tiger glanced at it, momentarily bewildered. "Mr. Guan, I am at a loss for words." Guan Feiyu frowned and replied, "Do not inquire into matters that do not concern you. I will ask you this once. I intend to purchase these items, and I could acquire even more. Can you assist in connecting me with buyers?" Tiger scanned the list briefly. Aside from the quantity, there truly appeared to be no flaws. "Rest assured, Mr. Guan, these items are all in order, but we must manage the timing carefully, as some items cannot be stored for prolonged periods, even in the cold storage." Tiger offered this caution with meticulous care. Guan Feiyu had not anticipated this detail, as he would soon be traveling abroad and could not manage to receive one batch while simultaneously sending another away. Guan Feiyu rarely revealed a smile to Lord Tiger. "No wonder you are Lord Tiger. Your thoughts are quite meticulous. Shiyan, purchase items that can be stored long-term or kept in cold storage for 1 to 2 months first. As for those fruits and similar perishables that do not lend themselves to prolonged preservation or cold storage, finalize the order and await my further instructions. Zhao Shiyan promptly replied. I understand. Guan Feiyu continued. All right, Tiger, please assist me in making the arrangements. The payment will be according to market rates. Pay the necessary deposit as required. Upon receipt of the goods, I will not make a full payment at once, but will pay a portion instead. However, I assure you, I will settle the entire amount in 2 months. Does that pose any issues? Lord Tiger chuckled instantly. Mr. Guan, you jest. With such a substantial order. Even if you took half a year to pay, you would still be one of the swiftest payers. Guan Feiyu, unfamiliar with such matters, felt reassured by Lord Tiger's words. He found himself in a tight financial situation after having paid for the renovation of his villa and the large apartment, along with a recent payment of 10 million for warehouse costs, leaving him with a mere 200 million. He recognized that this amount was insufficient and concluded that he must find a way to generate more funds, likely abroad. Tiger, starting tomorrow, Shiyan will be in charge of this matter. Now, let us disperse, Guan Feiyu declared, taking Zhao Shiyan with him. Instead of returning directly to the hotel, they decided to visit a top-tier private dining establishment. Upon seeing this palace-style restaurant, Zhao Shiyan exhibited a hint of nervousness. It is known to be one of the finest in Jinling, with an average expenditure starting at 50,000 per person. And that was with the kitchen operating at normal capacity. The owner is said to be a descendant of a former royal chef, with a banquet starting at 1 million, contingent on his mood to prepare it. Previously, Zhao Jun had mentioned bringing Zhao Shiyan here, but due to concerns about the pricing and the fact that his company, while decent, had minimal initial profits and only accrued 2 to 3 million in the subsequent years, they never made the visit. By the time Zhao Jun had the means, he had succumbed to gambling, leading to their current predicament, hence Zhao Shiyan had never been. Upon entering the palace-style restaurant, they were promptly escorted to a private room by a server. Guan Feiyu casually ordered several specialties and began discussing the details of their arrangement with Zhao Shiyan, eventually shifting the conversation to her past. Meanwhile, in a vast office within the palace-style restaurant, a beautiful woman reclined languidly on a sofa. Another woman observed a surveillance screen, her brow furrowed in concern. She never anticipated that this person would appear at the palace-style restaurant, accompanied by a beautiful woman into a private room. Noticing the furrowed brow of the reclining woman, she inquired with curiosity, Yunru, what troubles you? This woman named Yunru was originally Lin Ziyu's fiancée, Zhong Yunru. The woman lounging on the sofa was the owner of the palace-style restaurant, Mu Qingqing. At this moment, they all gazed at a large screen, segmented into numerous sections, displaying various corners outside the private dining rooms of the royal court's cuisine. Among these, the kitchen was most prominently featured, with no angle left unexamined. Zhong Yunru brought up the footage of Guan Feiyu and Zhao Shiyan's entrance. What's wrong, Yunru? Could it be that you have a story with this handsome fellow? Wu Qiaoyu jested with a smile. Zhong Yunru playfully tapped Wu Qiaoyu's leg, feigning annoyance as she replied, Qiaoyu, what are you saying? I merely find this man somewhat enigmatic. Wu Qiaoyu, intrigued, immediately sat up, urging Zhong Yunru, do tell. What kind of man could possibly intrigue the esteemed Miss Zhong? Zhong Yunru shot Wu Qiaoyu a glare. This man is named Guan Feiyu. He was originally Mu Qingqing's boyfriend. Before Zhong Yunru could elaborate, Wu Qiaoyu exclaimed in disbelief, is this the infamous green-haired turtle? It was evident that Wu Qiaoyu was already aware of the relationship dynamics among Guan Feiyu, Lin Ziyu, and Mu Qingqing. Noticing Zhong Yunru's annoyance, Wu Qiaoyu awkwardly chuckled. Please continue. I promise to remain silent. Only in front of Zhong Yunru could Wu Qiaoyu display such playfulness, in the presence of others. She was the proprietor of the royal court's cuisine, a descendant of the previous dynasty's imperial chefs. Zhong Yunru understood that Wu Qiaoyu's teasing stemmed from their close friendship, so she was not truly upset. Furrowing her brow, she continued, 3 days ago, I intended to publicly reject Lin Ziyu at the Lin Group. This way, Lin Ziyu and the Lin family would lose face, making it difficult for them to pursue me further. To my surprise, upon arriving at the entrance, I discovered that Guan Feiyu was in the midst of a breakup with Mu Qingqing and had confronted Lin Ziyu. From Guan Feiyu's eyes, I sensed a murderous intent towards Lin Ziyu. Such emotions would be normal for any man, considering Mu Qingqing's infidelity. However, they were merely in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, not married. Under such circumstances, even if angered, there should not be a desire for violence. Wu Qiaoyu found no fault in Zhong Yunru's reasoning. In a marriage, one party's infidelity might provoke thoughts of vengeance from the other. Yet between mere partners, such extremes seemed unnecessary unless other factors were at play. Zhong Yunru continued, her brow still furrowed. What surprised me was that before Guan Feiyu left, he whispered in my ear that there were financial issues at the Lin Group. This was information that would typically elude the public. The Lin family intends for me to unite with Lin Ziyu and my family, the Zhong family, would certainly investigate the Lin family, yet we uncovered nothing. Thanks to Guan Feiyu's warning, I had my people conduct a thorough reassessment, which revealed that indeed, the Lin family was facing financial troubles. This is something my family would only ascertain after meticulous investigation. How could an ordinary person possess such knowledge? Moreover, considering the shadowy dealings of your royal court's cuisine, you are well aware of its dubious nature. How could he afford such luxuries? Wouldn't you agree that he is rather mysterious? Wu Qiaoyu, initially captivated, found herself pondering the enigmatic Guan Feiyu. The last sentence ignited a moment of fury. Zhong Yunru. Whom are you calling dark? Let me tell you, I only earn a maximum of 70%. Is that too much? These are all court dishes. Even if you have money, you cannot indulge in them. By this calculation, my prices are quite reasonable. It was then that Zhong Yunru realized she had struck a nerve with Wu Qiaoyu, a smile playing at her lips. All right, you are the most conscientious, aren't you? Seeing Zhong Yunru relent, Wu Qiaoyu ceased her commotion. You are right. Guan Feiyu does indeed possess an air of mystery. Why don't we go and meet him? Wu Qiaoyu appeared eager at the prospect. Zhong Yunru, intrigued by how Guan Feiyu came to know such matters, did not decline Wu Qiaoyu's suggestion. As they exited the office, Wu Qiaoyu immediately shed her previous demeanor, adopting a composed and dignified posture, her gait now meticulous. Observing this transformation, Zhong Yunru leaned in and whispered, Qiaoyu, doesn't tea that exhaust you? Wu Qiaoyu shot her a glare, but Zhong Yunru chuckled softly, and soon both resumed their graceful appearances. The two swiftly arrived at the room of Guan Feiyu and knocked on the door. Guan Feiyu glanced at the dishes on his table. Haven't they all been served? Is there more to come? Please, come in. As his words fell, Zhong Yunru and Wu Qiaoyu entered. Guan Feiyu was somewhat taken aback upon seeing them. They belonged to different worlds. Neither in the past nor in the present did they share the same sphere. The former Guan Feiyu was not of their caliber, and now he felt they were beneath him. However, upon seeing Wu Qiaoyu, his interest was piqued. Wu Qiaoyu was exquisitely beautiful, resembling a doll, yet possessing an extraordinary figure. If Zhao Shiyin epitomized the ideal mature woman and Zhong Yunru represented the quintessential seductress, then Wu Qiaoyu was the embodiment of youthful allure. Greetings, Mr. Guan. Thank you for visiting our court private kitchen. I am the proprietor here, and my name is Wu Qiaoyu. I heard you were acquainted with Yunru, and I brought a bottle of red wine especially for you. With that, Wu Qiaoyu placed the wine on the table and uncorked it herself. Guan Feiyu was utterly astonished. The doll-like figure before him was, in fact, the owner of the establishment. Who would believe that such a delicate beauty could also be a chef? He glanced at Zhong Yunru, a thought stirring within him, and then smiled. Miss Zhong and I are but acquaintances. I never expected to receive such a warm welcome. Could it be that the matter I mentioned to Miss Zhong is indeed true? Both Zhong Yunru and Wu Qiaoyu were taken aback by Guan Feiyu's straightforwardness. Since he had broached the subject, Zhong Yunru, filled with curiosity, inquired, Mr. Guan, our family previously investigated the Lin family, but found nothing. However, following your hint, we conducted a thorough investigation and discovered substantial evidence. What intrigues me is, how did you come to know this? Guan Feiyu pondered inwardly. Shall I reveal that I have returned from a rebirth? I can tell you. Is this what Lin Ziyu said before his rebirth? However, if I do not respond, it may leave an unfavorable impression on the two of them. Guan Feiyu's heart stirred. He glanced at the red wine that Wu Qiaoyu had just placed on the table. Once again, it was a familiar tactic. With a flick of his hand, the wine soared into his grasp, and he deftly poured it into a nearby decanter. Both Zhong Yunru and Wu Qiaoyu's expressions changed dramatically, astonished by Guan Feiyu's feat. They were not ordinary individuals and understood the implications of his actions. Mr. Guan, are you a congenital powerhouse? Wu Qiaoyu hesitantly inquired. Guan Feiyu longed to declare, I am merely at the first level of qi refinement, traversing the path of cultivation. Do not insult me by comparing me to mere martial artists. Nevertheless, he would certainly not acknowledge such matters. Some things may be challenging for you, but they are quite simple for me. Guan Feiyu remarked with a smile as he savored a bite of food. Zhong Yunru and Wu Qiaoyu nodded in understanding. If Guan Feiyu was indeed a martial arts master, he must possess formidable strength behind him, which was not surprising. Yet, they were perplexed as to why someone with such a powerful background would still be taken advantage of by Mu Qingqing. Sensing their confusion, Guan Feiyu continued to weave his tale. My entanglement with Mu Qingqing and Lin Ziyu is merely a matter of refining my heart in the mortal realm. In due time, they shall face the consequences. Chapter 15. Mr. John, rest assured, the intermediary fees will not be shortchanged. Regarding Guan Feiyu's explanation, the two could accept it. Yet they remained skeptical. Was heart refinement truly so? Wu Qiaoyu suddenly interjected, Mr. Guan, what will you do next? Will you seek revenge on them? Guan Feiyu cast a glance at the two women. He truly did not wish for their beauty to fade away. After all, One should not squander the company of good women, nor waste time on bad ones. The prospect of having these two exquisite beauties assist in his cultivation was undoubtedly a great fortune in life. Of course, should he directly reveal that the apocalypse would arrive in 3 months, they might deem him a madman. Revenge? For now, I lack the time for such pursuits. A certain sage has observed celestial phenomena and foreseen great calamities approaching our planet. I must prepare for this eventuality. It would be wise for both of you to make preparations as well, Guan Feiyu replied with a smile. Zhong Yunru and Mu Qiangqing exchanged glances. What on earth was he talking about? Celestial observations? A calamity upon the planet? If a charlatan could discern such things. What was the value of technology? However, despite their lack of understanding, they respected his words. Very well, since Mr. Guan has said so, we shall make some preparations. Guan Feiyu noticed that they did not take his words seriously and felt it best not to press the matter further. There are plenty of beautiful women in the world, especially in a place like Wulong Villa. Mr. Guan, please continue to savor your meal. We shall take our leave now, Wu Qiaoyu said, offering a polite farewell before she and Zhong Yunru departed. As Zhao Shiyin contemplated the day's events, alongside the lengthy list that felt longer than the wrappings of bound feet, she could not help but inquire, Mr. Guan, are the preparations you made today truly in anticipation of the significant events you mentioned? Guan Feiyu smiled enigmatically without uttering a word. After enjoying their meal, the two returned to the hotel. Guan Feiyu produced his bank card and, after a brief moment of manipulation on his phone, handed the card to Zhao Shiyin. This card contains 150 million. You shall hold on to it for now. Tomorrow, I will depart, and you must use this sum to procure necessary supplies. Remember, minimize the deposits where possible. If absolutely unavoidable, you may pay more. But ensure all materials are acquired within a month and a half. Zhao Shiyin gazed at the bank card in disbelief, looking back at Guan Feiyu. Could it be that he entrusted her with such a substantial sum? Did he truly have such faith in her? Hesitantly, she asked, Mr. Guan, are you certain about this? 150 million is a considerable amount. Guan Feiyu replied with a mysterious smile. I pride myself on my ability to judge character. Take it without concern. I am aware this amount may not suffice. I will transfer additional funds shortly. Should you find the balance insufficient, do not hesitate to inform me. The acquisition of supplies must proceed flawlessly. Nodding, Zhao Shiyin accepted the card. Guan Feiyu then rose and moved towards another room, stating before he entered, I will be sleeping in this room. You shall take the other. I have reserved this presidential suite for 2 months, so rest assured. With that, he entered and immediately began his cultivation practice. Watching him retreat, Zhao Shiyin felt an inexplicable sense of security. Under different circumstances, she might have felt uneasy staying in such a place. The following day, after sharing breakfast, Guan Feiyu offered a few simple instructions before they headed to the airport. With the deputy city lord, Lu Ming, present, there were no issues regarding passports. Guan Feiyu soon boarded a flight to the United States. On the plane, he wasted no time, commencing his cultivation. Fortunately, the Huangdi Neijing does not emphasize specific postures for practice, allowing him to cultivate even while seated. Though this method of cultivation held little significance for him, Guan Feiyu was determined not to squander a moment. Unexpectedly, as the plane ascended, he noticed an increase in the speed of his cultivation. Initially bewildered, he quickly surmised that the higher altitude might offer a richer supply of spiritual energy. After more than 10 hours, Guan Feiyu arrived in the largest city of the United States. His objectives were threefold: to procure supplies, acquire firearms, and amass wealth. With the hope of securing top-tier luxury yachts and cargo ships to prepare for the impending cataclysmic flood expected in 2 months. Although he could rely on the techniques outlined in the Huangdi Neijing post-apocalypse, their effectiveness would depend on the spiritual energy within him. Should his reserves be inadequate, he would be no different from an ordinary individual, particularly since he was merely at the first level of weapon refining with limited spiritual energy. As the apocalypse commenced, others remained devoid of supernatural abilities, which would only begin to manifest gradually after 2 to 3 months. During this interim, even as these powers began to emerge, firearms continued to prove exceedingly useful. Whether they would retain their utility in the future was uncertain for Guan Feiyu. Nonetheless, it is prudent to be prepared. Securing a suitable hotel, Guan Feiyu made his way directly to a firearms vendor. In the United States, this is a legitimate business, readily accessible on the streets. He casually selected a larger establishment and entered. Indeed, a diverse array of firearms awaited within. Upon noticing an individual of Asian descent approach, John recognized an opportunity for business. In the East, gun control is exceedingly stringent, with most individuals only able to view firearms on television. Out of curiosity, many from the great Eastern nations often visit to explore and even experience these weapons firsthand. John cheerfully inquired, might this gentleman be wishing to experience the allure of firearms? Guan Feiyu replied, his demeanor composed. Indeed, in my homeland, these are prohibited items. Thus, in the United States, it is only natural to partake in such experiences. John, well-versed in such matters, negotiated the price before escorting Guan Feiyu to the shooting range at the back of the store. Under John's guidance, Guan Feiyu swiftly became adept at utilizing the various firearms available. Throughout the day, he discharged thousands of rounds, leaving John grinning widely, for this represented considerable profit. However, the primary objective for Guan Feiyu in this endeavor was to acquire these weapons. After settling the bill, Guan Feiyu did not take his leave. Instead, he inquired with a smile, "Might Mr. John treat me to a cup of tea?" John immediately grasped that this Eastern gentleman had matters of significance to discuss. "Please, let us retire to my office," he replied. Ascending to the second floor, John offered Guan Feiyu a beverage. Tea, in the hands of a foreigner, is often a jest. Yet this was not the crux of the matter. John took the initiative. "Are you perhaps interested in purchasing a handgun for personal protection? As I understand it, your nation exercises strict regulations concerning firearms." Guan Feiyu dismissed the notion, tossing the drink before John. Yet, John's expression shifted dramatically, for Guan Feiyu's throw was not arbitrary. It appeared controlled, halting perfectly before him with nary a ripple in the drink. John instantly recognized that this individual was no ordinary man. "Mr. John, I do not seek a mere handgun, but rather a variety of firearms. Should you possess connections for grenades or rocket launchers, those would be of interest as well. Rest assured, the intermediary fee will be more than generous." Chapter 16. Otherwise, let us pretend we have never met. John did not find joy in the prospect of a commission. Instead, his brow furrowed. "Sir, while our country appears free, such matters are still subject to stringent regulation. Moreover, your country enforces stricter regulations regarding firearms, making it impossible for us to facilitate such a transaction. Therefore, I must implore you to refrain from jesting, sir. While it is true that firearms regulations in the United States are relatively lenient, they still necessitate individual licensing for possession. Furthermore, the acquisition of firearms in bulk is a matter reserved for national-level enterprises, far beyond the reach of an individual of your stature. Even if such a transaction were feasible, it would not transpire lightly, particularly in the context of dealings with an Eastern superpower." Guan Feiyu was assured of his decision. The other party had not outright rejected the proposal, indicating there was room for negotiation. The focal point of their concerns appeared to be the logistics of delivery rather than the sale itself. Did Guan Feiyu require their assistance in transportation? With a smile, he clarified, "Mr. John, you seem to have misunderstood. I do not require you to handle the delivery. As long as you are willing to engage in the transaction, arrangements can be made within the United States. My associates will manage the logistics." John stared at Guan Feiyu in disbelief. This is the United States, and the demands are substantial. How could such a shipment possibly be carried out? Is this individual merely masquerading as an Eastern person to serve another's interests? If that is the case, it would indeed make sense. "Sir, if that is the situation, I could inquire further on your behalf," John replied, a sly smile creeping across his face. Guan Feiyu, unfazed, responded, "I would appreciate Mr. John's assistance in this matter. I look forward to your call." After exchanging contact details, Guan Feiyu exited the gun shop and returned to his hotel. After dining, he retrieved a map to locate the various supermarkets and warehouses across the United States. Soon, he marked several locations and plotted an operational route, ready to act that very night. In the dead of night, Guan Feiyu donned a black jumpsuit, secured his mask and hat, and leapt from the 6th floor. In this era, surveillance cameras are ubiquitous, especially in a major city like the United States' largest metropolis. The decision to jump was strategic, eliminating any evidence of his presence. The 6th floor leap posed no challenge for Guan Feiyu, whose skills at the first level of qi refinement rendered it akin to scaling a small wall. Upon landing, he maximized his speed, carefully choosing less populated and darker areas. An hour later, he finally arrived at his first destination, the warehouse of the largest comprehensive supermarket chain in the United States' foremost city. This vast warehouse spanned millions of square meters, containing an unimaginable array of goods. Taking care to avoid cameras and patrolling personnel, Guan Feiyu stealthily approached the edge of the warehouse. Confirming that no obstructions lay in his path, he slipped inside. The interior was dim, but that mattered little. Guan Feiyu was unconcerned with what the warehouse contained, believing it would be more advantageous to take items back for examination. With his speed at its peak, Guan Feiyu swiftly navigated the warehouse, collecting items with remarkable efficiency. Although cameras were present, the monitoring personnel were quick to dismiss the unusual activity, initially suspecting they were simply imagining things. After rubbing his eyes and confirming that the contents of the first warehouse had indeed vanished, Guan Feiyu immediately triggered the alarm and issued a notification. He was utterly indifferent, perhaps even deliberate in his actions. His intent was to draw most of the security personnel away, allowing him to infiltrate the other warehouses unimpeded. Given the vast expanse, it was implausible that there existed only a single warehouse, especially considering the plethora of items that must have been meticulously categorized across multiple storages. Upon entering the second warehouse, Guan Feiyu once again pushed his speed to its utmost limits. The warehouse remained unlit, save for the infrared cameras, although they were high definition. Guan Feiyu's dark attire and remarkable velocity rendered him momentarily undetectable, even to such advanced surveillance. When the monitoring personnel discovered that the items within the second warehouse had mysteriously vanished as well, they promptly relayed the situation to their colleagues outside. However, Guan Feiyu had already reached the third warehouse. This time, the lights were fully illuminated. It was evident that Guan Feiyu was determined to create chaos today, intending to instill fear within the hearts of the Eagle Nation. Once more, he unleashed his speed to its fullest potential. The monitoring staff merely caught a fleeting shadow, as all items from the shelves and the floor seemed to vanish. Panic-stricken, one of the monitors cried out, "The devil! The devil has come!" This alarm echoed through the intercom, reaching countless ears beyond the warehouse. Those outside stood bewildered, exchanging glances of confusion. What is happening? The devil? Seizing this opportunity, Guan Feiyu swiftly plundered the fourth and fifth warehouses. By the time the sirens wailed, he had already exited the premises. Of course, Guan Feiyu had no intention of limiting his exploits to just one warehouse. After all, the largest city in the Eagle Nation could not possibly be served by a single mega shopping center. As dawn approached, Guan Feiyu had systematically raided all the warehouses surrounding the largest city in the Eagle Nation. His rapid success was facilitated by the proximity of these large storages, designed for efficient management. However, during this operation, he had also incapacitated several individuals. Whether they lived or died was no longer a concern for Guan Feiyu. In the morning, as he enjoyed breakfast in his room and watched the news reporting on the previous day's losses, the Eagle Nation's police announced preliminary damages reaching into the hundreds of billions, with 1 fatality, 9 injuries, and 7 individuals reported missing. Missing? Guan Feiyu was taken aback. While he could accept the casualties, after all, he had been indiscriminate in his actions. The notion of individuals being unaccounted for puzzled him. He immediately delved into his spatial dimension, where the collected materials were organized according to the order of their acquisition. Upon careful inspection, Guan Feiyu was left astounded. Within his spatial ring lay 7 corpses. It seemed likely that these individuals had been slacking off and sleeping within the warehouse, inadvertently being collected alongside the goods. The spatial dimension could only store inanimate objects, and any living person entering would surely perish. After much contemplation, Guan Feiyu resolved to leave the bodies in their current state for the time being, intending to address the matter at a later date. The police cars outside have not ceased their activities since the early hours of the morning, as they diligently search for various clues. Given the magnitude of the loss incurred, Guan Feiyu maintained an admirable composure, even venturing out to observe the commotion and inquire with those nearby about the unfolding events. By noon, John's call arrived, indicating that he had successfully contacted the seller, and that a face-to-face meeting was imperative. Guan Feiyu, naturally agreeable, promptly boarded a flight to another city in Eagle Nation. After a series of arduous travels, Guan Feiyu finally arrived at the designated meeting point. The night had fallen by then, and John had finalized the specific location. Guan Feiyu found himself amidst a dense forest, where John awaited him alongside 2 rather formidable individuals. Without delay, John introduced the 2 men before swiftly steering the conversation towards the main topic. What do you intend to do with the arms? We do not concern ourselves with that, nor with how you intend to transport them. But I expect to see the money, stated a man named Smith. Guan Feiyu replied with a smile. You wish to see the money first. I, too, wish to see the arms. If you wish to engage in this transaction, then demonstrate some sincerity. You provide the arms, and I will bring the money. It will be a simultaneous exchange. Otherwise, let us consider this meeting non-existent. Chapter 17. Living beings cannot enter the ring, but the deceased or the motionless can. The 2 men regarded Guan Feiyu with a murderous intent. Undeterred, he met their gaze with confidence. From his demeanor, they sensed that this seemingly feeble Oriental man possessed a ferocity in his eyes that eclipsed their own. Evidently, he was not to be underestimated. For individuals like Smith, as long as their counterpart was neither a member of the police nor the military, there were no concerns. However, the murderous intent emanating from Guan Feiyu was clearly not the hallmark of a soldier. The intensity in Guan Feiyu's eyes bore no relation to any martial training. Rather, it was an intangible aura cultivated through the act of taking lives. In the apocalyptic world before his rebirth, he had indeed taken the lives of others for survival. Though he had yet to commit murder in this instance, the aura of lethality could still be perceived in his gaze. Of course, Guan Feiyu had mastered the control of this aura. Smith chuckled. Since you insist, we have no objections. Please peruse our list and determine your desired quantities. With that, Smith reached into his pocket. Guan Feiyu, ever vigilant, cautioned, proceed slowly. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee that your head will not acquire an additional bullet hole. Rather than taking offense at such a threat, Smith found Guan Feiyu's demeanor indicative of a true businessman. Such caution was beyond the grasp of an inexperienced youth. Slowly, Smith withdrew his hand from his pocket and produced a piece of paper, which he extended towards Guan Feiyu. Guan Feiyu fixed his gaze upon Smith, cautiously extending his hand to receive the paper, glancing at it swiftly. It detailed an array of firearms and grenades, including items such as portable rocket launchers and night vision goggles. Guan Feiyu was exceedingly satisfied with the content. Indeed, I desire all of these items: 500 handguns, 50,000 rounds of ammunition, and assault rifles. Guan Feiyu articulated the quantities he required. Smith's previously composed demeanor transformed into one of astonishment. Such a quantity could easily equip 300 to 400 individuals. Sir, are you certain you wish to procure so many? Smith inquired in disbelief. Guan Feiyu, furrowing his brow and displaying evident displeasure, responded, This is our initial collaboration. We shall commence with these. If all goes well, we may procure even more in the future, particularly ammunition, as it is a consumable. What I wish to ascertain now is whether you possess such quantities. Smith promptly replied, This is our line of business. We certainly have the goods, but these arms will cost at least 200 million. Guan Feiyu appeared rather impatient and stated bluntly, time and place. 2 o'clock this morning. Right here, Smith responded. Guan Feiyu nodded, then turned to John, saying, John, come by tonight, and I shall also provide you with a 3% commission. Given the current state of affairs in your city, I shall not be returning. John immediately expressed his understanding, and Guan Feiyu then turned to leave. Once Guan Feiyu had vanished, the 3 men also departed, unaware that someone was covertly following them, none other than Guan Feiyu himself. It is not to say that Guan Feiyu lacked the funds. Rather, even if he had them, he had no intention of paying, particularly since he did not possess such sums. After all, his purpose for coming to the States was rooted in deception, thievery, and robbery, with no intention of monetary exchange. Guan Feiyu's strategy was straightforward. The location for the meeting and transaction being set here suggested that the arms were not far away. It was now 9 o'clock in the evening, with the transaction scheduled for 2 o'clock in the morning, allowing for a span of 5 hours. This could indicate the time required for a round trip, with ample leeway in between. Hence, the one-way journey might take approximately 2 hours. As for loading the goods, Smith could simply make a phone call, and the loading would commence without further calculation. This arrangement would enable him to infiltrate the adversary's stronghold and seize all the arms. Guan Feiyu began to trail them cautiously. Subsequently, the 3 men entered a vehicle, albeit at a leisurely pace. The area was dense with forest, and the roads were hardly navigable. Thus, it was reasonable for them to proceed slowly, lest they jostle the passengers. Consequently, Guan Feiyu was able to keep pace with them. True to his predictions, after an hour and a half, the vehicle came to a halt in an area that was impassable. Smith and his companions disembarked, and in the distance, he observed individuals loading cargo. Glancing at the time, it was nearly midnight. Surveying the surroundings, he noted that apart from the dense forest and the bustling figures before him, there was no one else in sight. To ensure absolute certainty, Guan Feiyu followed these individuals deeper into the woods, where he encountered a small encampment. At that moment, people were actively moving in and out, transporting large crates. It was highly probable that these contained the very items he intended to transact. Upon discerning the location of their warehouse, Guan Feiyu decided to take a brief respite. Once the individuals had securely closed the warehouse doors and retreated to rest, Guan donned his black attire and, ensuring he was adequately concealed, cautiously approached the exterior of the warehouse. This type of operation was second nature to him. Upon entering the warehouse, Guan was overwhelmed with joy. A preliminary estimate suggested there were nearly 1,000 handguns, alongside various submachine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, and altogether, the count exceeded 1,000. The inventory also boasted an array of Barrett rifles, Gatling guns, individual rocket launchers, night vision devices, bulletproof vests, and helmets, among other items. Grenades and C4 explosives were plentiful as well. As for the ammunition, Guan had no time to inspect it. With a sweeping gesture, he stored everything within his storage ring. Having accomplished this, he intended to depart when he overheard a conversation outside. The boss lost 20 million at the casino, and now we're short on cash. We need to bring the money over immediately. Upon hearing this, Guan's mind stirred. Wasn't he in need of funds? It seemed fortuitous to seize what he could. However, these funds were acquired through arms trafficking. It could be deemed ill-gotten gains, Yet did it not seem unreasonable for him to spend them? This could hardly be classified as theft. Guan cautiously exited the warehouse and noticed two individuals entering another room. After ensuring the vicinity was clear, he promptly followed. The earlier loaders of the arms had completed their task and were now likely resting, though the nature of their repose remained unknown. Nevertheless, Guan could hear some rather exuberant sounds emanating from within. Following the sounds, he arrived at the doorway and swiftly entered the room. The two individuals who had entered earlier sensed something amiss behind them and turned to see merely a shadow. Subsequently, there was silence as both fell victim to Guan's lethal strike. Living beings could not be stored within the ring, but the deceased or motionless could. Guan then placed the two alongside the 7 previous corpses and surveyed his surroundings. The sight that met his eyes caused him to gasp. The room was overflowing with various currencies. Furthermore, there were considerable amounts of gold, diamonds, jewelry, and other forms of hard currency. Chapter 18. Do not blame me for what is to come. Guan had no time to linger over the riches and swiftly collected everything, leaving not a scrap of paper behind. Having completed this task, he hurriedly departed the encampment and raced back to the transaction site. Previously lacking funds, he had been uncertain how to instill confidence in his adversaries before eliminating them. Now, with this newfound wealth, it would be considerably easier to lower their guard. Upon returning to the transaction site, Guan promptly placed 200 million in cash amidst the grass. In the darkness, even upon close inspection, it would be difficult to discern. At 2 in the morning, 5 cargo trucks arrived punctually. Smith, John, and the driver, along with a total of 17 individuals, disembarked. Upon seeing Guan Feiyu waiting there, utterly alone, Smith turned to his companions, signaling them to pay attention. "Where's the money?" he inquired. Guan Feiyu turned, gesturing towards the underbrush, where some weeds had been crushed, and others appeared distinctly disordered. "Where's the cargo?" Guan Feiyu asked. Smith glanced at his companions. The rear gate had been opened, revealing an array of wooden crates within. One of the men casually opened a few, exposing the arms contained inside. Guan Feiyu stepped aside, indicating they should inspect the money. As the individual tasked with verifying the funds passed by, Guan Feiyu advanced towards the vehicles, seemingly preparing to inspect the goods. Several individuals fixated on Guan Feiyu, while a few others kept watch over the front and surrounding area, wary of any potential treachery. Feigning nonchalance, Guan Feiyu opened several crates to confirm they were filled with arms, then closed them with a casual flick before returning. Just then, the person verifying the money opened a few cash-laden boxes and confirmed their integrity, subsequently lifting 2 boxes to bring back. Others immediately rushed forth to seize the money. Guan Feiyu smiled, addressing Smith. "Mr. Smith, congratulations on our agreeable transaction." Seeing the funds were intact, Smith naturally bore a smile. "Pleasant transaction indeed." Guan Feiyu continued. "There are 2 additional matters to discuss. In their line of business, unexpected turns are the gravest concern." With Guan Feiyu's mention of 2 matters, Smith instantly grew tense. "What else does Mr. Guan wish to address?" Guan Feiyu glanced at John beside him and stated, "The first matter is that the 3% commission I promised to Mr. John is included. It must not be taken by you all." Upon hearing this, Smith and John burst into hearty laughter, promptly assuring that there would be no issue. In truth, Smith and John were in cahoots, and such matters would be handled between them. "The second matter," Guan Feiyu continued, "is that my associates are not familiar with the surrounding environment, and for the sake of confidentiality, they did not drive here. I would like to take these vehicles. I will handle them shortly. What does Mr. Smith think?" Smith, initially puzzled by the significance of a few dilapidated cars, soon realized that since they had already engaged in a 200 million deal, they would not be concerned about such trifles. Smith laughed heartily. "Mr. Guan, you are indeed cautious. However, I appreciate such meticulousness in a person of your caliber. You are destined for great things. As for the vehicles, Mr. Guan may take them. Consider them a gift from me, but they must be dealt with properly to avoid any complications for you." Guan Feiyu nodded, understanding that these vehicles were likely tainted. At that moment, the underlings had returned with the money. Smith gestured. "If there are no issues, you may leave. My men do not welcome strangers." Guan Feiyu replied, "Indeed, Mr. Smith, as long as the boxes contain money, I see no cause for concern." Moreover, with his subordinates having already inspected the contents, Smith was keen to avoid any further delays. In this line of business, every second wasted could mean an additional second of peril. Smith remarked, "Although this is our first transaction, I have faith in you, Mr. Guan." Anticipating our next collaboration, both parties exchanged a handshake before Smith and his companions ventured deeper into the dense forest. Guan Feiyu followed them to the front of the vehicle, where Smith and his group waved their farewells. Realizing that they were unlikely to turn back, Guan Feiyu unleashed his speed to the fullest extent. As the distance closed, Smith and his associates sensed impending danger. Just as they were about to glance back, a terrifying force struck them. 17 individuals were simultaneously hurled away, colliding violently with the distant trees. Once they plummeted to the ground, aside from their bodies instinctively twisting, they exhibited no further reaction. Guan Feiyu was unwilling to invite complications. Those who had witnessed him must perish. No survivors could be allowed. Thus, he resorted to the techniques from the Huangdi Neijing, directly eliminating these individuals. With only 3 months remaining until the apocalypse, he was determined to avoid any issues within that time frame. He swiftly collected the bodies and cash, even taking the vehicle laden with arms, before rapidly departing the scene. By the time those akin to a tribal group sensed something amiss, Guan Feiyu had long vanished. At dawn, Guan Feiyu returned to the hotel unnoticed. He then, like a tourist, savored the sights of the city. Seemingly dissatisfied with the locale, he departed that very evening, setting his sights on the world's largest gambling city. Prior to his arrival, he had devised a plan to win some money in the casino. Whether he would succeed remained uncertain. After all, the over 100 million he had set aside for Zhao Shiyin was undoubtedly insufficient. Having procured several hundred million from these arms dealers, all in cash, he found it challenging to transport back to his homeland. Moreover, with unfinished business keeping him from returning, he had no choice but to resort to electronic transfers. Reaching the gambling city made matters considerably simpler. By entering with cash and arranging for electronic transfers upon his exit, he could seamlessly return the money home. Of course, whether the transferred funds would be subject to taxation could be addressed upon his return. After all, the money was essentially unearned. Contributing to the state seemed trivial, given the years of education it had provided him. The following morning, Guan Feiyu arrived in the gambling city, secured accommodation, and promptly inquired about the casino's location. In truth, he needn't have asked. In a city dedicated to gambling, the casinos were practically ubiquitous. Upon noticing his tip, the attendant's eyes sparkled, eagerly divulging all the information she possessed. After posing a few more questions, Guan Feiyu received satisfactory answers. That evening, he entered the casino with a suitcase, exchanging all his cash for chips. He began to play casually, yet caught the attention of the casino staff. The reasons were twofold. Guan Feiyu arrived bearing a substantial amount of cash and, after exchanging for chips, played at a minimal stake. This immediately raised suspicions among the casino personnel, who quickly deduced that Guan Feiyu's funds might not have been acquired through legitimate means. Such patrons were highly coveted by the casino. Not only could they potentially win a fortune from them, but they could also be coerced into paying a hush fee. Soon, a man clad in a suit approached Guan Feiyu, accompanied by 2 bodyguards. The gentleman in the suit slightly bowed and, with a courteous smile, remarked, "Sir, I see you possess a considerable amount of chips, yet you choose to play the slot machines here. Such an endeavor seems rather beneath your status. Surely, you must crave something more exhilarating?" Guan Feiyu was taken aback. He had merely intended to play a few rounds and transfer some funds to his card. Unaware that he had drawn the casino's attention, a sudden realization struck him. It appeared these individuals regarded him with malicious intent, eager to drain him of his resources. If that were the case, he would not hesitate to engage in a more vigorous pursuit. Chapter 19. There was approximately 200 million in cash here, with another 7 or 800 million in the adjacent room. Guan Feiyu nodded with a smile, rising to depart, while a charming croupier assisted him in carrying his chips. The man in the suit observed Guan Feiyu intently, finding him to possess an air of sophistication that suggested he was not of the typical gambler's ilk, but rather a wealthy heir. This was evident from his demeanor. Had Guan Feiyu's wealth been acquired through illicit means, there would have been signs of anxiety or fear of exposure in his eyes. However, he remained remarkably composed. Had the man misjudged him? Spotting a dice game, Guan Feiyu seated himself. The betting was straightforward. One could wager on high or low, or even specific numbers. He listened intently to the contents of the shaker, and after the dealer initiated the roll, he casually placed 100,000 chip on high. His nonchalance suggested he was tossing mere plastic. When the shaker was opened, the result was a 1, 2, and 4, a total of 7, a modest outcome. Although Guan Feiyu appeared indifferent, he was acutely aware of the sounds inside. While he had never gambled before, he had observed enough gaming films to be familiar with the nuances of the dice. Each die produced a distinct sound based on its weight and friction, albeit the differences were subtle and required diligent practice to discern. What might elude others, Guan Feiyu, as a practitioner of cultivation, could detect with relative ease through attentive listening. As he clutched his final chip, he began to win. That initial 100,000 rapidly transformed into 200,000, then 400,000, and soon 800,000. Despite having lost over 10 rounds initially, he reclaimed his stake in just 3 rounds, thereafter accruing profits. Previously, he had wagered in increments of 100,000. Now, he was betting everything in a single throw. If this continued, the casino might as well close its doors, for they would be left with nothing. The crucial aspect was that those surrounding him recognized an opportunity to profit from Guan Feiyu's success. Whatever he bet on, they followed suit. This prompted the personnel in the surveillance room to take notice, leading them to promptly report the situation. Soon, a number of individuals gathered in the monitoring room, observing Guan Feiyu through the cameras. However, they did not uncover any deceit from Guan Feiyu. He did not even touch the table. As the chips were placed by the waitstaff, these individuals recognized that this situation was untenable. A manager, accompanied by a group of bodyguards, promptly approached Guan Feiyu. "Mr. Guan, my name is James, and I am the manager of this casino. May we converse privately?" At that moment, a crowd had gathered around them, and James could not afford to act excessively, as it would deter future patrons from visiting the casino. As for knowing Guan Feiyu's name, it was effortlessly achievable for them. Given their resources, they could easily obtain such information from the airlines. Guan Feiyu was escorted to a secluded area, surrounded by bodyguards, while onlookers could only catch glimpses of the scene through the gaps in the security. "Mr. Guan, do you not regard us with sufficient respect?" James inquired. His brow furrowed and his expression displeased. Guan Feiyu, however, merely smiled casually. "I simply wished to play for leisure. I did not anticipate your invitation. In the end, you lost and brought me here. Are you unable to bear the loss?" Upon hearing this, James's face turned awkwardly red. As Guan Feiyu stated, he had merely been playing the slot machines outside, and they had mistaken him for an easy target, inviting him in. Little did they know, he was not a mere lamb, but a master of gambling, capable of discerning the odds solely by sound. If they allowed him to continue playing, it was likely that the casino would face closure by the next day. "Mr. Guan, our casino is rather modest and may not suit your esteemed presence. Perhaps you would prefer to play elsewhere? We would be happy to provide you with some drinks as a gesture," James suggested. For a casino of their stature, the options were limited. Either invite the opponent to leave, recruit a skilled player to win Guan Feiyu away, or, as a last resort, eliminate him. However, the latter option posed significant complications, especially considering Guan Feiyu hailed from a major Eastern nation, which could escalate into a serious diplomatic incident. Engaging a high-caliber player would incur substantial costs, and other casinos might perceive them as lacking in strength. Thus, the most prudent course of action would be to politely ask him to leave, minimizing the costs and preserving goodwill, potentially even allowing for future assistance. Guan Feiyu pondered for a moment and replied, "I am agreeable to that. However, I would like you to assist me with a matter." James's expression shifted slightly, and he asked, "What is it that you wish for our casino to help you with?" Guan Feiyu smiled. "I possess a sum of cash, approximately 1 billion, along with several gold bars. It is inconvenient for me to carry these, so I would like to entrust them to you. Please transfer the money directly to my card, along with my previous winnings." Having won a considerable amount recently, he had no intention of letting anyone benefit from his fortune, especially since he was in dire need of funds. James had not anticipated such a request from Guan Feiyu. This aligned with their initial suspicions. The source of Guan Feiyu's wealth was questionable. The notion of inconvenience was merely a pretext. However, if the amount of money is relatively small, it poses no significant challenge for the casino. Yet, a sum of 1 billion in cash, along with a few gold bars, presents a more complex situation. Observing Guan Feiyu's intentions, he had initially sought to leverage the casino to gradually transfer funds into his account. Now, they had come to him directly. Should they refuse, it is likely Guan Feiyu would persist in his gambling pursuits. In contrast, it would be easier to accommodate Guan Feiyu's request. At worst, the owner could seek loans from others, as repayment would be imminent. "I shall consult our boss," James stated. Guan Feiyu nodded in agreement. Shortly thereafter, James returned from his call, affirming that there was no issue. Guan Feiyu smiled, saying, "Then come to my hotel room tonight." With that, he stood to leave, but his bodyguards instinctively obstructed his path. At James's subtle gesture, the guards parted. Guan Feiyu remarked, "You are indeed a clever man." With that, he stepped away. Upon returning to the hotel, Guan Feiyu promptly placed all the cash in his room and retrieved the gold bars. 3 hours later, James arrived with several associates, including a striking blonde beauty, embodying a classic European aesthetic. "Mr. Guan, may I inquire as to the location of the items?" James asked. Guan Feiyu gestured towards the guest room. Given his current status, Guan Feiyu was certainly residing in a presidential suite, despite his financial woes. He believed in enjoying the finer things in life. James and his companions entered the guest room, their eyes widening in astonishment. They had never anticipated the sheer volume of gold nestled in the corner, a visual impact that few could withstand. The gold bars alone, at current market rates, were estimated to be worth 200 to 300 million. There was roughly 200 million in cash present, with an additional 700 to 800 million in the adjacent room. Chapter 20. You have returned. It was only then that James regained his composure and led his team to the other room. After confirming the funds were legitimate, He immediately transferred 12 billion to Guan Feiyu's account. Following a brief exchange, James smiled. Mr. Guan, this lovely lady will accompany you in the days to come. What are your thoughts? Guan Feiyu felt a strong attraction towards the enchanting foreign beauty beside him. While he refrained from expressing notions of national pride, he was certainly tempted to explore the teachings of the Huangdi Neijing concerning intimate relations. However, with pressing matters to attend to, Guan Feiyu felt the allure of the beauty was perhaps more than it seemed. I have some matters to address and will be leaving the United States tomorrow morning. I appreciate the kind offer, and perhaps we can revisit this upon my future return, he replied, recognizing the sincerity in Guan Feiyu's words. James refrained from pressing the issue further and simply nodded. Although they had hoped to gauge Guan Feiyu through the presence of the captivating woman, he offered them no opportunity. The beautiful woman was taken aback by her rejection from Guan Feiyu. Could it be that she lacked charm? After all, even if Guan Feiyu were to depart the following day, it would not hinder the present evening. Yet, his unexpected dismissal ignited a sense of curiosity within her regarding him. After James and his entourage departed, Guan Feiyu exchanged the money from his card into the currency of the Eastern superpower, amassing a substantial sum nearing 100 billion. Considering the fluctuations in exchange rates between the two nations, he transferred 10 billion to Zhao Shiyan's card. The following day, Guan Feiyu ventured to another nation, Zhanbul. His sole purpose for this visit was to procure ships, as the cruise liners and cargo vessels here were commendable. Initially, these endeavors could have been conducted in Eagle Sauce Nation, but due to prior disturbances, Guan Feiyu feared detection, prompting his decision to shift locations. Upon arriving in Zhanbul, he visited several maritime ports, encountering numerous cargo ships and yachts. He became enamored with an enormous luxury cruise liner, and upon listening to its introduction, he learned that it was not only opulently decorated but also relatively easy to operate. That night, the colossal cruise liner vanished completely, along with 2 cargo ships laden with goods. The high-ranking officials of Zhanbul were infuriated and immediately launched an investigation. However, such occurrences had gone unnoticed in Eagle Sauce Nation, and naturally, Zhanbul could uncover nothing as well. They did, however, discover numerous corpses from Eagle Sauce Nation, which had been collected by Xiao Bieli into his spatial realm, including those inadvertently taken from the warehouse, as well as the bodies of Smith and his associates. As for the potential repercussions between the two nations, and whether disputes would arise, that was of no concern to Guan Feiyu. Subsequently, Guan Feiyu journeyed to the Middle East, acquiring substantial quantities of crude oil, gasoline, diesel, and even aerospace fuel along with the equipment for refining oil. He then traveled to the land of the bear, where he procured the entirety of the largest freshwater lake. Finally, he arrived at the Foot Basin Chicken territory. Here, Guan Feiyu was particularly decisive, seizing all the mineral resources recently purchased by the Foot Basin Chicken and taking away their grain as well. The short-term implications for grain prices in the Foot Basin Chicken territory were of no concern to him. Before his departure, Guan Feiyu also confiscated all the military vessels of Eagle Sauce Nation stationed in the Foot Basin Chicken territory. Whether or not he would need them was one aspect, but possessing them was imperative, primarily to discomfort them. Having completed all these actions, Guan Feiyu returned to Jinling. This entire circuit had taken a month and a half. Rather than conducting his operations in each country sequentially, he feigned tourism in various nations in between. Had Guan Feiyu caused disturbances in each nation he visited, those countries would inevitably suspect him, even if they could not procure evidence, leading them to create trouble for him, which he wished to avoid. Unfortunately, despite his careful maneuvers, he had already aroused suspicions in multiple countries. Since Guan Feiyu's arrival in Eagle Sauce Nation, they had begun strict inspections of all foreign personnel. At this moment, the American Eagle had not yet set its sights on Guan Feiyu. Upon his arrival in the United Kingdom, the troubling matter of missing cruise ships and cargo vessels emerged. The day after the incident, Guan Feiyu departed. His name appeared on both the American and British lists. Subsequently, the nations of the Middle East began to suspect him, having lost countless barrels of crude oil and various other resources. While earlier events could have been mere coincidences, suspicions escalated after Guan Feiyu arrived in the Middle East. When the largest freshwater lake in Russia vanished, his name reappeared in the immigration records, further solidifying the suspicions against him. Lastly, in the context of the Foot Basin country, his name was again linked, sealing his fate. Yet, one question remained. If Guan Feiyu had indeed stolen these items, where had they gone? His entries and exits were entirely normal. He arrived alone and departed solitary as well. Especially in Russia and the Foot Basin country, both nations had begun to shadow him discreetly. They found no evidence of him interacting with anyone or engaging in any suspicious activities. At most, he had observed foreign warships stationed in the Foot Basin during the day, and nothing beyond that. If all these actions were orchestrated by Guan Feiyu, how had he accomplished them? Countries relayed this matter to the Eastern superpower, which initiated an investigation into Guan Feiyu. However, after extensive inquiry, nothing substantial was uncovered. Notably, Guan Feiyu had transitioned from a state of poverty to sudden wealth within 2 months, purchasing a villa and acquiring numerous supplies through Zhao Shiyin and others. Where had his money originated? Unfortunately, Lu Ming had managed the situation with remarkable discretion, even handling certain matters on behalf of higher-ups. If any trace could be found, it would be nothing short of miraculous. Guan Feiyu believed his actions were flawlessly executed, yet they were riddled with inconsistencies. The Eastern superpower continued to monitor him covertly, while a cadre of arms dealers from the United States had already made their move. Although Guan Feiyu perceived no flaws in his scheme, he overlooked the fact that his presence in a gun shop was recorded by surveillance cameras. Additionally, John, associated with the arms trade, had disclosed Guan Feiyu's circumstances while conducting the deal. Following the transaction, John and Smith vanished, yet Guan Feiyu returned to the Eastern superpower. They were already aware of the various losses suffered by multiple nations and suspected that their funds and arms had also been pilfered by Guan Feiyu. With such significant losses, they were unlikely to let him go unpunished. Even the casinos speculated that the multitude of stolen items was connected to Guan Feiyu. Particularly upon learning of the arms dealer's losses in weapons, money, and gold bars, they quickly realized that Guan Feiyu was selling stolen goods through their establishment. To avert complications, they wished for no harm to come to him. Otherwise, they would find themselves in trouble as well. Unbeknownst to Guan Feiyu, he returned to Jinling to meet Zhao Shiyin. Upon encountering Guan Feiyu, Zhao Shiyin was overwhelmed with excitement, a feeling she herself could not comprehend. In that moment, she rushed towards him without a second thought, embracing him fervently and shyly exclaiming, "You're back." Sensing the change in Zhao Shiyin's demeanor, Guan Feiyu felt a sense of reassurance. In Chapter 21, a notion emerged. To convince us, one must allow us a glimpse into their realm. Clearly, Guan Feiyu noticed the transformation in Zhao Shiyin. She now exuded more resilience, shedding some of her former fragility. He patted her back with a smile, affirming, "I have returned." It was only then that Zhao Shiyin realized she had thrown herself into his arms, prompting her to quickly disengage. Guan Feiyu smiled slightly, recognizing her bashfulness. To alleviate her embarrassment, he inquired, "How did the shopping go?" Zhao Shiyin promptly replied, 2 warehouses are already full, and I had the tiger rent 10 more. Though the cost is a bit steep, these 10 are nearing capacity as well. As for the perishable items, I've already placed the order, and they can be delivered at any time. However, the 60 billion you previously provided is dwindling." Guan Feiyu was quite pleased with Zhao Shiyin's actions. Although the supplies he procured overseas could sustain 1,000 people for a century, one could never have too much food. Regarding finances, he felt he was spending too slowly, as he still possessed several billion. Before the apocalypse, it was prudent not to squander, yet after its onset, resources were paramount. Regrettably, the funds remained in the bank, merely digits on a screen, rendering them ineffective for immediate use. "All right, notify those suppliers to send over the fruits and perishables," he instructed. Zhao Shiyin hesitated. "Mr. Guan, our warehouses are full. There is simply no space." Guan Feiyu smiled affectionately. "From now on, you needn't call me Mr. Guan. It feels too formal. Just call me Feiyu." Instantly, Zhao Shiyin's cheeks flushed. Addressing him in such a manner would indeed signify a deepening of their relationship, but she shyly nodded in agreement. "As for those items, you need not concern yourself. I have my own plans." With Guan Feiyu's assurance, Zhao Shiyin had no objections and promptly set about contacting the suppliers. Glancing at the time, Guan Feiyu noted it was dinner time. They arrived at a premier restaurant, where they indulged in a sumptuous meal. A thought crossed Guan Feiyu's mind, prompting him to ask, "Shiyin, what do you think of this restaurant's fare?" Zhao Shiyin, puzzled by his inquiry but nonetheless enthusiastic, replied, "It's splendid. I really enjoy it." Guan Feiyu chose not to elaborate further, continuing to savor his meal. After finishing, he said, "Shiyin, you should return to the hotel first. I have some matters to attend to." Zhao Shiyin, unsure of what further issues could arise so soon after his return, obediently headed back to the hotel, as instructed. "Waiter, please bring over your menu, and additionally, summon your manager." The waiter, taken aback, first handed the menu to Guan Feiyu, then inquired with confusion, "Sir, is there something unsatisfactory about our dishes? Or perhaps you have concerns regarding my service? If you are dissatisfied, what purpose does the menu serve?" Guan Feiyu replied with a smile, "It is precisely because I am thoroughly pleased with your cuisine that I wish to discuss a business matter with your manager. As for your service, it has been commendable, and you may expect a generous tip later." The waiter, somewhat puzzled, felt relieved that it was not a complaint about his service. Soon, the waiter returned with a manager clad in a suit. "I apologize, sir, but our owner is quite busy. I am the manager here. I understand from our waiter that you have a business proposal for us." and I am authorized to handle this matter, the manager stated with utmost courtesy. Guan Feiyu cast a glance at the manager, amusement flickering in his eyes. It is fortunate that you have the authority. I have perused your menu and sampled your dishes, which were delightful. Therefore, I would like to request 1,000 servings prepared according to the menu. Is there any issue with that? The manager was left speechless, and the waiter was astonished. They had never encountered such a substantial order. While he had heard of large orders, he had never witnessed one of this magnitude. 1,000 servings, no less. Sir, you cannot be serious? The manager stammered in disbelief. Guan Feiyu replied coolly, I am rather pressed for time and have no inclination for jest. I simply wish to know if you can fulfill this request. The manager bowed swiftly. My apologies, sir, but I cannot make that decision. I will fetch the owner at once. With that, the manager hurried away, leaving the waiter to attend to Guan Feiyu, who was now in a state of bewilderment and unable to assist him properly. Fortunately, the manager and owner arrived shortly thereafter. Sir, you truly are not jesting? The owner sought reassurance. Guan Feiyu, frowning, nodded affirmatively. The owner immediately responded, we can certainly accommodate your request, but for such a large order, each serving would cost 100,000. Additionally, we can offer a complimentary bottle of red wine, 2 bottles of premium liquor, as well as freshly squeezed juices and beer. The owner regarded Guan Feiyu with a skeptical gaze. At the price he mentioned coupled with the quantity, it amounted to 1 billion. Such a sum was typically reserved for elite families celebrating significant events, and he doubted that Guan Feiyu was serious. However, if true, it would mean immense fortune for him, ensuring a life of ease. Guan Feiyu noted that the menu included various seafood and other dishes, totaling over 100 items. Indeed, 100,000 per table was not exorbitant, considering it adhered to standard pricing. That is agreeable. However, these must be completed within 2 weeks and delivered to the designated location every evening by 8 o'clock, ensuring the freshness and quality of the ingredients. Additionally, regarding those plates and similar items, is there any issue with including them as gifts? Guan Feiyu inquired. The boss pondered carefully and nodded. No problem. Guan Feiyu continued. Then I shall transfer a deposit of 500 million to you now, and the remaining balance will be settled in a month. Is that acceptable? Just moments ago, the boss had been contemplating the financial aspect, as the prices of these ingredients were rather substantial, and he doubted his ability to manage it. He had intended to broach the subject himself. To his surprise, Guan Feiyu readily offered 500 million. Even if the final payment was not fulfilled, he would still secure a modest profit and avoid any loss. The boss immediately smiled and replied, no problem. Subsequently, Guan Feiyu transferred the 500 million to the boss and turned to leave. The instant Guan Feiyu departed, the boss instructed the kitchen to prepare and commenced a frenzied procurement of supplies. Meanwhile, Guan Feiyu ventured to another restaurant. Dining at a single establishment repeatedly would eventually lead to monotony. Thus, he sought a variety of flavors to invigorate his palate. As he strolled along, he paused frequently, placing numerous orders. From restaurants to barbecues, from Western cuisine to various culinary styles, he did not overlook any delicacies, including whole roasted lamb, suckling pig, and whole roasted beef. Naturally, he also intended to place substantial orders for breakfast items, ensuring a diverse selection to avoid culinary fatigue. After half a night had passed, Guan Feiyu finally expended a total of 1 billion. Chapter 22. Unless you can allow us to enter your space and take a look. Guan Feiyu made his way towards the warehouses, intending to transfer the contents of several storage facilities into his ring. However, prior to that, he needed to address a particular issue. Arriving outside an abandoned factory, Guan Feiyu smiled and said, Gentlemen, having followed me all night, are you not weary? Shouldn't you come out and show yourselves? Guan Feiyu was already aware that he was being shadowed. Nonetheless, these individuals bore no ill intent, and he was unconcerned about their presence. Yet, as he was about to visit the warehouses to collect items, he could not allow anyone to be privy to his actions. Thus, he spoke up, intending to send them away. Soon, 2 individuals emerged from the shadows. How did you discover us? One of them asked, looking puzzled. Guan Feiyu smiled slightly. Is that the crucial point? I wish to know why you have not retired for the night, following me since my plane landed. What is your objective? The more composed of the 2 replied, we are from a relevant department. I am Tang Zheng, and this is my colleague Zhao Dong. Instead of following you, we prefer to regard ourselves as your protectors. Guan Feiyu regarded them with a hint of confusion. Tang Zheng continued, during your absence abroad, numerous items went missing in various countries, and they suspect you are involved, yet cannot produce any evidence. After all, with such a multitude of items, even if you were implicated, you alone could not have taken them all. Nevertheless, they have not abandoned their inquiries and continue to monitor you. While we have formally informed our superiors, I believe they will secretly dispatch individuals to investigate you further. Thus, the superiors wish to utilize you to strike against these individuals. Guan Feiyu understood that there must undoubtedly be some clandestine operatives among the nations. The state intends to leverage his assistance to identify such individuals. Furthermore, it has come to my attention that you have won a considerable sum at foreign casinos, prompting them to send agents to investigate. Additionally, there is an emerging faction that has infiltrated, and whether their intentions are directed towards you remains uncertain. Guan Feiyu furrowed his brow, reflecting meticulously on his actions. Suddenly, he surmised that he might have inadvertently exposed himself at the gun shop. However, given the circumstances, further contemplation seemed futile. He chuckled, remarking on the absurdity of the situation. I never anticipated such nonsensical matters. While abroad, I too heard tales of various nations' lost possessions. Yet, as you rightly pointed out, even if I were to orchestrate the efforts of 100 individuals alongside an array of equipment, it would be improbable to relocate everything in a single night, especially without detection. To suspect me in this regard seems utterly ludicrous, does it not? Zhao Dong scoffed. Ludicrous? I find it anything but absurd. You have incited a frenzy of material procurement over the past 2 months, resulting in warehouses overflowing with goods. Moreover, you instructed your associates to notify those who had placed orders to continue deliveries tomorrow. Yet, your warehouses remain devoid of activity. We have investigated and found no transport vehicles linked to you in the vicinity. How do you intend to clear the warehouses by tomorrow? Not to mention, the items you ordered today are also destined for these warehouses. Guan Feiyu's expression shifted slightly. How could they be aware of this? Could Zhao Shiyin have betrayed him? No, Zhao Shiyin was an ordinary individual, not connected to any relevant authorities. Even if the authorities had persuaded her, they would not expose her. Could it be those who placed orders had been swayed? This was a possibility, albeit a slim one. Suddenly, an unlikely thought crossed his mind. He couldn't help but glance up at the sky, where numerous stars twinkled, among them satellites. If the state had set its sights on him and was monitoring him via satellite, it seemed plausible that they could observe him. Yet, while satellites could indeed see him, they would not discern his lip movements from above. Utilizing lip reading to ascertain his words would be impossible. However, surveillance cameras surrounded the warehouse. Given the capabilities of the relevant authorities, infiltrating these cameras to observe his lip movements should pose little challenge. In discussing this, he had overlooked this critical detail. Zhao Dong's assertion was not without merit. Viewed positively, he was essentially warning him, should the contents of your warehouse vanish overnight, others might become aware, and nations could very well turn against you. This served as a cautionary reminder. To think negatively is to remind oneself that this is a grand scheme. One collects these items through unconventional means, and if not seized, they will merely gather dust in a warehouse. I must admit, a flaw at the gun shop has stirred such considerable trouble. After much contemplation, Guan Feiyu resolved to present them with a story that was both true and false. With an air of calm confidence, he said, "Allow me to share an account with you. Believe it or not, the choice is yours. 2 months ago, by a stroke of fortune, I came into possession of a heritage. More precisely, it resembles a prophetic text akin to the 2A Bay Tuesday. It foretold that on November 1st of this year, the world would freeze and calamity would descend, urging those who are fated to prepare in advance to survive this disaster. Furthermore, I acquired a method of cultivation, the legendary Huangdi Neijing, along with a storage ring and a pill. The space within the storage ring is approximately 200,000 cubic units. This is the reason for my procurement of these supplies. I have already consumed the pill, which has elevated me to the first level of the qi refinement stage. However, after ingesting the pill, I could only rely on my arduous training, and unfortunately, the results were minimal. This level of power equates to the innate realm of martial arts. As for my departure, it was to avoid attracting attention from higher authorities. Yet, I never anticipated such events abroad would lead to my suspicion. The truth of my words is a blend of fact and fiction. The so-called heritage, prophecy, ring, and pill are mere fabrications. Yet, the impending apocalypse and the method of cultivation are indeed genuine, particularly regarding the size of the storage ring. 200,000 cubic units would not suffice for the items from abroad, but it is ample for those procured domestically. To my surprise, Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong did not refute my claims. Instead, they gazed at me with furrowed brows. Their reactions suggested that they did not consider me to be deceiving them. Could it be that the state possesses some understanding of such matters? This possibility is not entirely out of the question. Given the variety of legends, even if they contain exaggerations and distortions, a portion must hold some truth. Moreover, Guan Feiyu indeed acquired a legacy from the Huangdi Neijing, and the process of inheritance was equally perplexing. Coupled with the storage ring, there may indeed be many unresolved mysteries. Some truths may elude ordinary people, yet be known to the upper echelons of the state. This explains why Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong, individuals from relevant departments, did not immediately dismiss my assertions. From this perspective, their department is not a mere ordinary one. Guan Feiyu, to be candid, we can accept and comprehend your words. However, to convince us, you must allow us to enter your space and witness it for ourselves. Chapter 23. Miss, is there something you require? Guan Feiyu can now ascertain that the state undoubtedly possesses individuals akin to him. Even if none exist, there must be some understanding of the practice of cultivation. Regardless of the scenario, it seems prudent for me to remain vigilant in the future, lest I find myself in a predicament. Regarding Tang Zheng's thoughts, Guan Feiyu could only manage a wry smile. The storage space can only contain inanimate objects. Living beings cannot possibly survive within it. Thus, I cannot allow you to enter. Unless you are unafraid of death. Of course, if you harbor doubts, you may bring a living creature, marked for identification, and I shall place it inside for 5 seconds. It will undoubtedly perish. Furthermore, do not presume that you can send in a camera or any recording device, for time within is static. This is the very reason I need not worry about the deterioration of my possessions, and why I have only recently begun to purchase fruits and other perishable items. Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong exchanged a glance, prompting Zhao Dong to depart with haste. He soon returned with a wild dog, having plucked 2 tufts of fur for identification, and handed it directly to Guan Feiyu. Without a second glance, Guan Feiyu accepted the dog and placed it into the space. 5 seconds later, the wild dog emerged lifeless. Guan Feiyu tossed the dead dog to Zhao Dong, who examined it closely before turning to Tang Zheng and nodding. Tang Zheng then addressed Guan Feiyu. We are convinced of the existence of the spatial ring. We shall relay this matter to the higher-ups, who will undoubtedly make arrangements for you. Guan Feiyu furrowed his brow. Such arrangements were likely for the service of the nation. Contributing to the state was certainly within his capabilities. Yet without personal cultivation, he feared that in the aftermath of the apocalypse, when various supernatural abilities emerged, he would be rendered powerless. Ironically, his method of cultivation was not one the state would accept. Thus, it was impossible for Guan Feiyu to comply in the short term. Although he could consider it in the future, as humans are inherently social creatures. Esteemed gentlemen, I have certain matters I wish to convey to your leaders. If that is permissible, Guan Feiyu remarked, his brow knitted in concern. Zhao Dong's expression darkened, and he replied with an air of indignation. Are you about to make unreasonable demands? You are a product of the state's nurturing. During our investigation, we found your attitude towards the nation commendable. This is evident from your substantial earnings abroad, which you chose to return through taxation rather than the spatial ring. Yet now you dare to set conditions. Do you believe you are worthy of the state's investment? Tang Zheng interjected, silencing Zhao Dong, and turned to Guan Feiyu. Speak your mind. After a moment's contemplation, Guan Feiyu responded, I have only just received my inheritance, and my abilities remain quite rudimentary. Should the state enlist me, they would need time to assess my capabilities and might impose certain restrictions, which would not serve my interests well. Moreover, with the apocalypse imminent, I propose this. If the state does not wish to recruit me, that is ideal. If there is an inclination to do so, it would be wiser to wait until the cataclysm has arrived. Tang Zheng nodded. I shall relay your sentiments to the higher authorities. How they choose to proceed is beyond my jurisdiction. Guan Feiyu had no objections to this arrangement. Tang Zheng pondered for a moment, surmising that Guan Feiyu might possess the capability for self-preservation. He then added, since you prefer our absence, we shall refrain from following you. However, I must caution you against any unlawful activities. Should those hostile forces make a move against you, you may exercise your own judgment, provided that no harm comes to innocent civilians or significant repercussions arise. Guan Feiyu was taken aback that Tang Zheng had afforded him such a privilege. Rest assured, I merely wish to survive. As long as I am not provoked, I shall refrain from taking action, Guan Feiyu assured him. Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong then departed. Although they verbally claimed they would not monitor Guan Feiyu, this was merely a matter of personnel. In this age of advanced technology, even without human oversight, numerous surveillance devices could still be employed. Once the two had left, Guan Feiyu swiftly made his way to the warehouse, retrieving all its contents before returning to the hotel. By the time he arrived at the hotel, it was already past midnight. Zhao Shiyin had been waiting for his return, unable to sleep. Feiyu, why have you returned so late? She inquired, her expression a blend of concern and reproach, reminiscent of a wife awaiting her husband's return. She instinctively approached to assist him with his coat and slippers, a gesture Guan Feiyu had never experienced from Mu Qingqing. Guan Feiyu smiled and replied, I was organizing the items in the warehouse and preparing for what lies ahead. Now, it's late. You should get some rest. Zhao Shiyin nodded, appearing to hesitate momentarily before retreating to her own room. Noticing her indecision, Guan Feiyu smiled, thinking to himself, good things are worth the wait. She can linger a bit longer. The next morning, just as they were about to leave, they spotted a beautiful woman standing outside. She appeared to be in her early 20s and was intently gazing at Guan Feiyu. He took a closer look at her. While her appearance was quite pleasing, her figure, though not particularly striking, was still commendable in the eyes of an ordinary person. The crux of the matter was that Guan Feiyu did not recognize her. Zhao Shiyan, seeing the woman blocking their way, instinctively felt that there was some unresolved connection between Guan Feiyu and the stranger. However, observing Guan Feiyu's evident unfamiliarity, she deduced that they likely did not know each other, at least not from his perspective. "Miss, how may I assist you?" Zhao Shiyan ventured to ask. The woman did not respond to Zhao Shiyan, but instead fixed her gaze on Guan Feiyu and inquired, "Is Building A in Wulong Villa District yours?" The question left Zhao Shiyan utterly perplexed. Yet, Guan Feiyu quickly deduced that this individual was Li Kaiyun, the adopted daughter of Lu Ming. Li Kaiyun was also the one who had reported Lu Ming. Years ago, Li Ziyun's father had been friends with Lu Ming, and both had entered public service together. Subsequently, during a project, they discovered that the other had been cutting corners. Initially, they demanded rectification and refused to sign off on the acceptance. Eventually, Lu Ming was compromised and turned to persuade Li Ziyun's father to side with him. Two individuals, friends at heart, found themselves in an evening of conviviality as Lu Ming procured an assortment of food and drink to facilitate their conversation. Li Ziyun's father, unsuspecting, joined them in their revelry. As the night wore on and spirits flowed, Lu Ming broached the subject of a signature for acceptance, only to be met with a firm refusal from Li Ziyun's father. In their inebriation, tempers flared, escalating from a mere disagreement to a fierce altercation. As Li Ziyun's father attempted to leave, Lu Ming obstructed his path, leading to a threatening proclamation from the elder regarding a potential report against Lu Ming. Alarmed by this declaration, Lu Ming, having already accepted money, felt the weight of impending doom. In a moment of panic, he struck Li Ziyun's father with a blunt object, resulting in the latter's demise. After committing this grave act, Lu Ming was engulfed by fear and uncertainty. Yet, with no turning back, he resolved to conceal the evidence of his crime by entombing Li Ziyun's father in cement. He subsequently took Li Kaiyun, then just a child, under his wing, raising her while maintaining a facade of respectability. Chapter 24. The abyss is not shallow. What Lu Ming could never have anticipated was that, despite his years of caution, Li Qiaoyun would serendipitously catch sight of him. One evening, when her route home was obstructed, Li Kaiyun found herself wandering near the Wulong Villa community, where she unexpectedly spotted Lu Ming entering Building A. The opulence of such a residence seemed unbefitting for him, igniting her curiosity. After several clandestine observations, she unearthed Lu Ming's secret, leading her to suspect that his true nature was far more complex than it appeared. She began to contemplate whether her father's long-standing disappearance might intertwine with Lu Ming's past, prompting her to report him, hoping for a thorough investigation. However, to her dismay, Lu Ming faced nothing more than a few casual inquiries, continuing his life as usual. Realizing the situation was amiss, Li Kaiyun leveraged her position as Lu Ming's adopted daughter to delve deeper into the matter. She discovered that Building A belonged to Guan Feiyu, which propelled her to seek him out. Having deduced her intentions, Guan Feiyu turned to Zhao Shiyan with a smile, suggesting, "Shiyan, why don't you step aside for a moment? I wish to converse with this young lady." Zhao Shiyan, puzzled yet compliant, nodded and cast a final glance at Li Kaiyun before departing. "Miss Li, if you don't mind, please come in and have a seat." Guan Feiyu offered with a warm smile. Upon entering the room and settling down, Li Kaiyun wasted no time in questioning. "Why is the Wulong Villa Building A under your name?" Guan Feiyu maintained a serene smile as he replied, "I believe you might be more concerned about your father's disappearance." Taken aback, Li Kaiyun leapt to her feet, her eyes wide with astonishment. She had never imagined that Guan Feiyu would strike upon her most pressing concern with such precision. "You know about my father?" she inquired, only to shake her head in disbelief, recognizing that Guan Feiyu appeared to be only a few years her senior, rendering it improbable for him to possess such knowledge. "Your father was a close friend of Lu Ming. He went to meet Lu Ming for drinks and subsequently vanished." Guan Feiyu elucidated. Li Kaiyun nodded, yet remained unperturbed by this revelation. This matter appears to be known by very few, yet 2 decades ago, it was well within the knowledge of many locals, and it was quite normal to hear about it. Li Kaiyun found it strange that he mentioned his father without her having introduced herself. "Do you know who I am?" Li Kaiyun inquired, perplexed. "I was unaware until you mentioned Wulong Villa District. Then I became informed. Furthermore, I am aware that you reported Lu Ming and have gathered some evidence. However, those photographs alone are insufficient to bring down Lu Ming," Guan Feiyu replied with a smile. At this, Li Kaiyun was rendered speechless, utterly shocked. The act of reporting was done anonymously, and even if it had been a formal complaint, those departments would not disclose such matters to an unrelated individual for her protection. After a moment of silence, Li Kaiyun regarded Guan Feiyu with suspicion. "How do you know?" At this moment, Li Kaiyun was prepared for the worst. If Guan Feiyu were aligned with Lu Ming, revealing this information could lead to her demise, given Lu Ming's current influential status. To avoid complications, he might even arrange for her to be sent abroad, only to stage an accident that would result in her death. Nevertheless, Li Kaiyun chose to admit her intentions, driven by a singular purpose, to uncover the truth, even if it cost her life. The notion of reincarnation was not something Guan Feiyu would discuss. Nor would Li Kaiyun believe it if he did. How could he convince her of his honesty? Resorting to an old tactic, Guan Feiyu waved his hand, and a remote control flew into his grasp from a distance. Witnessing this, Li Kaiyun was once again taken aback. Although she was Lu Ming's adopted daughter, and he treated her well, her understanding paled in comparison to that of Zhong Yunru and Wu Qiaoyu. As you can see, I am no ordinary person. Since I am extraordinary, I naturally possess considerable influence. By a fortunate turn of events, my connections became aware of Lu Ming's affairs and informed me, allowing me to employ certain methods to seize his villa and the embezzled funds he has amassed over the years, Guan Feiyu explained with a grin. Had it not been for the earlier display, Li Kaiyun would have never believed him. Yet, seeing the remote control fly into her hand left her no room for doubt. Although Li Kaiyun was ignorant of martial arts, she was aware of the mystery and power held by certain prominent families within the country, knowledge that ordinary people lacked. Was Guan Feiyu, standing before her, a member of one of those enigmatic families? If so, it would be no surprise that he possessed this knowledge. Aiding her in revenge would be effortless. With this thought, Li Kaiyun exclaimed with fervor, "Mr. Guan, I implore you to assist me, to seek justice for my father. As long as you can help him, I am willing to repay you with unwavering dedication." Unwavering dedication? Shouldn't it be a pledge of devotion? Guan Feiyu mused. It is often said that when a woman seeks a man, if he is handsome, she offers herself in return. If he is less appealing, she offers her servitude. Was it possible that he appeared unattractive? No, he considered. He should still be presentable. Guan Feiyu found himself lost in these thoughts. Li Kaiyun knelt before Guan Feiyu, tears streaming down her face as she clutched his legs, pleading, "Mr. Guan, if you are willing to stand up for my father, I will heed your every command, even if it means being at your service." Upon hearing this, Guan Feiyu realized that her words bore a resemblance to a vow of devotion, perhaps even implying a lower status than mere submission. But could he acquiesce? With the villa, the high-rise, and the money now in his possession, and both the villa and the high-rise undergoing renovations, could he risk exposing this matter? Such an act might lead to the confiscation of his newfound assets, and he could easily find himself entangled in accusations of complicity in Lu Ming's illicit dealings, potentially facing dire consequences. The impending apocalypse loomed, and Guan Feiyu had no desire for unforeseen complications. As he lowered his gaze to refuse Li Kaiyun, he found himself momentarily captivated, his eyes ensnared. Initially, he had regarded her figure as unremarkable, yet as she knelt, his perspective shifted. Although her physique may not rival the likes of Zhong Yunru or Zhao Shiyan, it was certainly not insignificant. At the very least, there was depth to her allure, coupled with her youthful charm, which had just begun to fade yet retained a hint of innocence. Guan Feiyu felt an undeniable stir of desire. The words of refusal lingered on his lips, but he could not utter them. "Miss Li, please rise," he said, stepping forward to assist her. She settled back onto the sofa. "Miss Li, I am not a virtuous man, nor am I one to sacrifice myself for others. You are aware that Building A in Wulong Villa District belongs to me. But you may not know that, in addition to this villa, I have also acquired a spacious flat on the 28th floor of Building B, along with 300 million in cash. If I were to assist you now, it would be tantamount to my own sacrifice. If you were in my position, would you make such a choice?" Upon hearing this, the tears of desperation in Lin Ziyu's eyes transformed into a gaze of fury, as if Guan Feiyu had committed an unforgivable crime. "Are you suggesting that I should silence her to protect your secret?" She spat out, filled with venom. Guan Feiyu shook his head. "I harbor great disdain for individuals like him. However, I require what he can offer, which is why I cannot act against him at this moment. If Miss Li is willing to trust me, I can present you with two options. First, before the end of the month, I will help you eliminate Lu Ming. Second, if he remains alive after 6 months, I will report the matter truthfully. Alternatively, you may choose to take vengeance for your father yourself." Chapter 25. Since you seek death, do not blame me. Li Kaiyun, who had been weeping and pleading with rage, now found herself momentarily speechless, her sorrow forgotten. "What did you say? Murder?" she asked in disbelief. The concept of killing was something she had only heard of in whispers, given her status as Lu Ming's adopted daughter. But to contemplate the act of murder was an entirely unfathomable notion. Yet, when spoken by Guan Feiyu, it seemed as effortless as eating or drinking. Guan Feiyu nodded affirmatively. "Indeed, it all depends on your choice." Li Kaiyun hastily gestured in denial, her voice laced with urgency. "No, no, No, there's no need to kill him. We can simply handle it according to the law. Given the crimes committed by Lu Ming, if dealt with legally, he would inevitably face dire consequences without the necessity for direct action. All right, since you insist. I shall interpret that as your preference for the second option, Guan Feiyu replied with a smile. Li Kaiyun eagerly nodded in agreement, and upon seeing her acquiescence, a smile graced Guan Feiyu's face. Suddenly, his expression shifted, and he said, Miss Li, I believe you should exercise caution for your safety in the coming days. Li Kaiyun, still reeling from Guan Feiyu's previous remarks, instinctively felt a surge of fear as she asked, What do you mean? With a furrowed brow, Guan Feiyu explained. In order to obtain certain information from Lu Ming, I once mentioned that the person who would report him would be someone close to him. It has been 2 months now. Given his capabilities, he will likely uncover your identity soon. If he does, despite the years he has cared for you, he may not show you mercy. Li Ziyun's expression changed drastically. In the past, had Guan Feiyu uttered such words, she would have dismissed them outright. For Lu Ming had indeed treated her exceptionally well over the years. However, having conducted her own covert investigations into Lu Ming recently, she had unearthed troubling truths. If Lu Ming discovered that she had reported him, he would certainly seek retribution. What am I to do? She asked, fear evident in her gaze as she looked at Guan Feiyu. After a moment's contemplation, Guan Feiyu suggested, If you trust me, it would be prudent for you to stay with me for now. In half a month's time, even if he wishes to act against you, he may find it impossible. Li Kaiyun, perplexed, inquired why. Guan Feiyu chose not to divulge the conversation he had with Tang Zhong, opting to remain silent, which only deepened Li Ziyun's sense of mystery regarding him. From that day forth, she took residence in the presidential suite, which had ample space to accommodate her comfortably. In the following fortnight, Guan Feiyu was exceedingly busy, not only collecting supplies at night, but also receiving deliveries from various restaurants. He simultaneously replenished the resources within his spatial ring. Although the items contained therein were nearly limitless, Guan Feiyu felt an insatiable urge for more. This sensation resembled that of an individual who, despite having substantial savings in a bank, feels perpetually underfunded and strives diligently to amass even greater wealth. Furthermore, he regarded any unspent funds as wasteful, leading him to engage in relentless shopping during this period. Zhao Shiyan, after observing the peculiarities over the past month, sensed something amiss. Regardless of how many items arrived each day, they mysteriously vanished by the next, yet she had not witnessed any signs of transportation. Despite her curiosity, Zhao Shiyan refrained from questioning Guan Feiyu. The following day, Wang Qian called to inform him that the renovations on the villa and the spacious apartment had been completed and requested his inspection. Guan Feiyu promptly set out to the villa for the assessment. For Guan Feiyu, this matter holds equal significance to sustenance. Without food, survival in a post-apocalyptic world is impossible. Lacking a secure and warm dwelling also spells doom. Upon meeting Guan Feiyu, Wang Qian immediately began his introduction. Mr. Guan, as per your request, we have replaced the main entrance with a door akin to those found in top-tier bank vaults. The villa, both inside and out, has been reinforced with aerospace-grade titanium alloy panels, and we have also incorporated insulating materials, even in temperatures plummeting to -100 degrees outside. As long as the heating system operates, we can maintain an internal temperature of approximately 30 degrees, with precise temperature control capabilities. As Wang Qian elaborated, Guan Feiyu nodded in approval, expressing his satisfaction. The heating, washing, and sewage facilities were all executed flawlessly, conveniently situated on the underground second level, ensuring they did not interfere with daily living needs. The two subsequently visited the spacious flat. In comparison, the flat was somewhat inferior, particularly regarding sewage management, as the villa could channel sewage underground, while the flat, being a single level, relied solely on pipelines. However, the flat was designed with extreme cold weather in mind, and Guan Feiyu was unconcerned about the conditions below at that time. In other respects, there was little to no disparity. Guan Feiyu nodded in satisfaction, affirming, not bad. Wang Qian respectfully inquired, since you are pleased, may I request your signature for acceptance? Without hesitation, Guan Feiyu signed his name. Finally, Wang Qian produced a tablet, stating, Mr. Guan, this device enables monitoring of the underground parking lot as well as the surroundings of both the villa and the flat. Additionally, as per your specifications, the controls for certain special devices within the villa are also accessible here. Through this tablet, you can oversee the entire underground parking area and every corner of the flat you occupy. The villa's interior has been arranged according to your preferences. Guan Feiyu glanced at the tablet, confirming everything was in order. With a smile, he said, thank you. He then transferred a sum of money to Wang Qian. Upon checking his phone, Wang Qian promptly complimented, Mr. Guan, your generosity is commendable. By the way, please remember to change the password. Guan Feiyu nodded with a smile. With no further matters to attend to, Wang Qian took his leave. After Wang Qian departed, Guan Feiyu changed all the door passwords and conducted a thorough inspection of every corner. Once satisfied that everything was secure, he called Zhao Shiyan and Li Kaiyun, instructing them to pack their belongings in preparation for the move. Li Kaiyun encountered no issues, but Zhao Shiyan mentioned she was in the process of unloading, noting that this was the last batch of supplies. Understanding the situation, Guan Feiyu refrained from pressing her. In the following 2 weeks, Guan Feiyu decided to rest and make necessary adjustments in anticipation of the impending apocalypse. However, as darkness fell, Zhao Shiyan had yet to return, prompting a change in Guan Feiyu's demeanor. According to the usual timeline, Zhao Shiyan should have returned by now, and Guan Feiyu would have left to collect his belongings. However, it was already quite late, and Zhao Shiyan had yet to come back. Guan Feiyu dialed Zhao Shiyan's number again. A stranger's voice echoed from the other end. Mr. Guan, your woman is in my possession. If you wish for her to live, be at the scrap yard in the east of the city within half an hour. Otherwise, prepare to collect her remains. With that, the call ended abruptly. Guan Feiyu immediately realized that Zhao Shiyan had likely been abducted by arms dealers. He had been warned by Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong before, but he had become so preoccupied that he had forgotten about it. Furthermore, he hadn't noticed anyone following him, which caused him to dismiss the matter. It was clear now that these individuals had set their sights on Zhao Shiyan. Fury surged within Guan Feiyu. If you seek death, do not blame me. Chapter 26. The opponent is just a playground. Li Kaiyun, witnessing Guan Feiyu's wrath, sensed that something was amiss. What happened? Guan Feiyu, ablaze with anger, replied, Shiyan has been captured. I must go rescue her. Gather your things. But do not leave the room. I will retrieve Shiyan and return for you. Li Kaiyun nodded with concern. Be careful and ensure your safety. Over the past 2 weeks, Li Kaiyun, Guan Feiyu, and Zhao Shiyan had spent much time together, and she regarded Guan Feiyu as a remarkable individual, given her estimation of his capabilities. If he harbored intentions towards them, they would be powerless to resist. Yet, Guan Feiyu treated them with utmost respect and had never overstepped his bounds. Li Kaiyun even sensed that Zhao Shiyan had developed strong feelings for Guan Feiyu. With just a little initiative from him, Zhao Shiyan would readily reciprocate. But Guan Feiyu never acted upon it. Li Kaiyun found it hard to believe that Guan Feiyu was oblivious to Zhao Shiyan's affections. She could not fathom why he behaved this way. Did he harbor some unspoken male hesitation? Guan Feiyu, unaware of Li Ziyan's thoughts, would surely want to prove otherwise if he knew. Upon exiting the hotel, Guan Feiyu immediately hailed a cab and made his way to the vicinity of the scrap yard in the east of the city. He was somewhat familiar with this area, as it was where Lu Ming's money had once been. Just as he was preparing to search, his phone rang again. Noticing the caller ID was Zhao Shiyan's, he understood that he was being watched. He answered the call, and the voice on the other end instructed, head to the central factory. Without a moment's hesitation, Guan Feiyu found his way to the central factory and stepped inside. The interior was cluttered with disordered equipment and scraps of steel. Upon reaching the center, he spotted 5 individuals, one of whom was the bound Zhao Shiyan, while several others lurked in the shadows. Although Guan Feiyu did not see it, he could still sense it due to the proximity. Zhao Shiyan's mouth was sealed, yet upon seeing Guan Feiyu's arrival, she anxiously shook her head, signaling him to leave swiftly. Confirming that Zhao Shiyan was unharmed, Guan Feiyu let out a sigh of relief and then cast a furious glare at the 4 individuals before him. Release her. The leader chuckled coldly. Guan Feiyu, you possess an audacity unmatched, daring to engage in a black market betrayal and slaying so many of our men. I presume that the money and gold were also taken by you? Guan Feiyu did not deny these accusations. You are correct, I did take them. However, have you ever pondered how I accomplished this? Zhao Shiyan looked bewildered, unable to comprehend their conversation. Although the men were momentarily enraged, they soon recalled this very question. They had previously contemplated how Guan Feiyu managed to carry out these deeds so quietly. If he could silently eliminate John and his associates, how did he manage to take the arms and money left behind? If it were a brute force assault, they could understand. But the fact that he had infiltrated was beyond their comprehension. Given the sheer volume of arms and wealth, it was implausible for one person to carry it away unnoticed. If multiple individuals were involved, they could not believe they would fail to notice. Seizing the moment of their distraction, Guan Feiyu accelerated to his utmost, dashing to protect Zhao Shiyan. Realizing something was amiss, the men immediately prepared to fire. Yet how could Guan Feiyu allow them such an opportunity? With a flick of his hand, he unleashed a flurry of cold glints, piercing through their skulls. He then swiftly sheltered Zhao Shiyan, retreating to conceal themselves behind some discarded equipment. Guan Feiyu quickly utilized his spiritual energy to sever the ropes binding Zhao Shiyan. Shiyan, remain here and do not move. I will deal with them. At the instant Guan Feiyu made his move, hidden adversaries surged forth. However, Guan Feiyu's speed was unparalleled. They scarcely had time to draw their weapons. By the time they were able to fire, Guan Feiyu had already concealed himself with Zhao Shiyan behind cover. As they searched for him, Guan Feiyu moved like lightning, hurling objects that struck their bodies or heads, swiftly dispatching them. The projectiles he threw were merely stones the size of his thumb. He chose this method to keep his true strength concealed, with stones as a facade. Even if Tang Zheng and his associates were to investigate, they would not perceive Guan Feiyu as overly formidable. Should a conflict arise, Guan Feiyu's hidden prowess would serve to safeguard him in critical moments. Furthermore, the reason he refrained from using a firearm was to avoid revealing his capabilities prematurely. Those stones had been casually picked up when he disembarked from his vehicle, and he still possessed a considerable number. Soon, the surrounding threats were neutralized. Yet Guan Feiyu remained vigilant. As I arrived at the entrance, my phone rang just in time, revealing my location and indicating that someone was surely positioned above, possibly wielding a sniper rifle. For most, such weaponry is far beyond reach, but for arms dealers, it is merely a matter of supply. The challenge lies in transporting it into the Eastern Power, which can prove exceedingly complicated, if not altogether impossible. However, Guan Feiyu dared not take any chances. Regardless of whether such arms had been smuggled in, he remained exceedingly cautious, acutely aware of his own limitations as a practitioner at the first level of qi refining. Uncertain of his capacity to react in time or withstand any threats. To Guan Feiyu's surprise, he heard an unusual sound, followed by the entrance of two individuals. One of them was a familiar face, Tang Zheng. Under normal circumstances, at such a late hour, he would not have recognized anyone, but as a cultivator, Guan Feiyu possessed the requisite discernment. The moment he stepped out, Tang Zheng and his companion instinctively adopted defensive stances. Upon realizing it was Guan Feiyu, they relaxed their guard and surveyed the surroundings, which were strewn with corpses, at least 20 in number. With astonishment etched on his features, Tang Zheng inquired, "Did you do all this?" As they drew closer, Guan Feiyu's keen gaze appraised the woman accompanying Tang Zheng. She was of decent appearance, standing approximately 1.60 meters tall, and appeared petite and delicate. However, her figure was obscured, likely due to some form of restraint. Although attractive, Guan Feiyu instinctively perceived her as lacking in substance, leading him to refrain from engaging further. Noticing Guan Feiyu's silence, Tang Zheng quickly interjected to ease the tension. "Mr. Guan, this is my colleague, Su Xiaoxiao. We were able to arrive so swiftly thanks to her. Xiaoxiao possesses commendable martial prowess and is also a computer prodigy." Guan Feiyu understood then that the surveillance cameras surrounding the warehouse had been compromised by her. Tang Zheng reiterated Su Xiaoxiao's question, "Mr. Guan, did you truly kill all these individuals?" Guan Feiyu nodded affirmatively. "Indeed, they were all slain by my hand. Furthermore, they were foreign intruders. By the way, what brings you here?" Chapter 27. May I be your girlfriend? Su Xiaoxiao's face flushed with indignation. She had just posed a question to Guan Feiyu, who remained silent. Yet when Tang Zheng inquired, he revealed everything. This infuriated the inexperienced young woman, making her wonder if Guan Feiyu held her in disdain. At that moment, Zhao Dong approached, stating, "The individual in the shadows has been dealt with." Only then did Guan Feiyu realize that the earlier sound had been Zhao Dong neutralizing the lurking threat. Tang Zheng nodded and turned to Guan Feiyu with a smile. "This matter owes much to Xiaoxiao. We were aware that these individuals intended to enter the country, but we refrained from intervening, hoping to capture them all at once in a more opportune location. It was Xiaoxiao who discovered they had arrived in Jinling and were tracking your girlfriend. We quickly realized they might be plotting against you. Ultimately, it was Xiaoxiao who uncovered that your girlfriend had been abducted and pinpointed this location. It was unexpected that you resolved their issues so swiftly." Guan Feiyu did not foresee such a turn of events. Nevertheless, he humbly expressed his gratitude, stating, "I must thank you all, otherwise it would have taken me considerable time to locate the individuals lurking in the shadows, and unforeseen complications would inevitably arise." At that moment, Zhao Shiyan also stepped forward. Su Xiaoxiao, with a grim expression, confronted Guan Feiyu. "As we understand, these individuals are mercenaries from the Eagle Nation, engaged not only in arms trafficking, but also in various other illicit activities. How did you provoke them?" Tang Zheng and Zhao Dong turned their gazes toward Guan Feiyu. Under normal circumstances, an ordinary person would never encounter such individuals, yet it was evident they were intent on taking Guan Feiyu's life. To suggest that there was no issue between the parties would be an affront to the intelligence of Tang Zheng and his companions. However, Guan Feiyu could not divulge the entire truth. If he were to speak candidly, Tang Zheng and the others would undoubtedly demand he relinquish the arms. A thought crossed Guan Feiyu's mind, and he quickly devised a rationale. "Upon my arrival in the Eagle Nation, I naturally wished to experience the allure of firearms. As you know, such matters are virtually impossible at home, but but in the Eagle Nation, it is quite straightforward. This explanation was one Tang Zheng and the others could accept, as there were indeed individuals who would indulge in such experiences upon visiting the Eagle Nation. I was taken aback when a certain gun store employee inappropriately approached a fellow citizen. Unable to tolerate it, I took it upon myself to teach him a lesson. Initially, I believed the matter would be resolved, but they subsequently sought vengeance against me with firearms. In such circumstances, I could not allow my country to be shamed. So I eliminated them. Guan Feiyu feigned the demeanor of a selfless benefactor. However, Tang Zheng was not so easily deceived. And the bodies? Upon hearing Tang Zheng's inquiry, Guan Feiyu's heart sank. Trouble was brewing. The bodies had been left in the land of Zhan, along with several individuals from the Eagle Nation's warehouse. Should Tang Zheng discover their identities, he would undoubtedly connect them to the affairs of the Eagle Nation's warehouse, potentially deducing that the loss of resources from various nations was orchestrated by him. Yet, could he simply remain silent? The likes of Smith and his associates, as arms dealers, were likely already on the wanted lists of various countries. Once Tang Zheng learned the identities of those corpses, Guan Feiyu would find it impossible to fabricate a story. After all, the warehouse personnel and Smith's group were entirely distinct entities. It appears the adage holds true: a single lie necessitates countless others to cover its flaws. After much contemplation, Guan Feiyu resolved to take a gamble. If all else failed, he would resort to deceit. The bodies were disposed of on an inconspicuous beach in Zhan. After all, the Eagle Nation and Zhan have consistently conspired to oppress us. I sought to cause them some discomfort, and if it could sow discord between them, all the better. Guan Feiyu donned an expression of patriotic fervor. However, Tang Zheng fixed his gaze on Guan Feiyu, clearly unconvinced. Very well, in light of this, exercise caution moving forward. I believe they will not rest easily. With that, Tang Zheng departed with his companions. Upon venturing outside, Su Xiaoxiao exclaimed with indignation, "Team leader, Guan Feiyu is no good. He has clearly not spoken the truth." Tang Zheng nodded in acknowledgement. "I am aware he has not been truthful. Then why do we not apprehend him?" Su Xiaoxiao pressed anxiously. Tang Zheng cast a glance at Su Xiaoxiao. "You are still too young. You fail to grasp such a simple principle. From the intelligence provided by the Eagle Nation and our own sources, the corpses of those arms dealers are found alongside the missing personnel from the Eagle Nation's warehouses. This implies that Guan Feiyu has been involved with those arms dealers. But the situation is far more complex than he has portrayed. He possesses a spatial ring, capable of containing a considerable amount of items. It is conceivable that he has amassed a significant stockpile of arms. If he were to act against us, could we, with our limited numbers, withstand the onslaught of so many lives extinguished in such a brief period? Should he choose to eliminate us and then flee, or incite chaos with those arms domestically? Have you contemplated the magnitude of the threat? Su Xiaoxiao's expression darkened, yet she acknowledged Guan Feiyu's strength. Furthermore, Tang Zheng's reasoning held merit. Guan Feiyu's formidable capabilities, coupled with his relative civility towards them, indicated that he wished to avoid exacerbating tensions with the state. Tang Zheng continued, "Moreover, the presence of unrelated individuals' corpses together indicates that he is likely involved in the warehouse incident as well. The dilemma is that we lack evidence." Clenching her fists, Su Xiaoxiao's face was a portrait of anger and helplessness. Viewed from another perspective, his actions and acquisitions transpired abroad rather than domestically, suggesting he harbored no intent to harm the citizens of his homeland, nor to incite panic among them. This, in turn, could suggest a degree of patriotism. Furthermore, upon conducting a thorough investigation, I found him to be a person of commendable character who has not posed a threat to us. Thus, it is unnecessary for us to pursue him relentlessly. I dare say, should you apprehend him, the populace would not blame Guan Feiyu for his deeds abroad, but would instead cast their ire upon us. Tang Zheng offered a wry smile. Su Xiaoxiao, feeling a sense of resignation, understood well that as a citizen of a great Eastern nation, the people do not judge heroes by success or failure, but rather by their integrity. Were she not in her current position, but rather an ordinary citizen, she might also admire Guan Feiyu's audacity. Tang Zheng shook his head. Thus, it is prudent for us to turn a blind eye to such individuals. If we were to push him to a breaking point, should he come to despise our nation and seek to harm us, when the truth eventually surfaces, our losses would likely garner no sympathy. The people would perceive Guan Feiyu as justified, and we as the wrongdoers. Moreover, he has committed no acts that threaten our nation. The lives he has taken may very well be those who would harm our compatriots abroad, which, in essence, is beneficial for us. Su Xiaoxiao fell silent, her indignation dissipating. She understood better than most that the reason citizens are not victimized abroad is due to the sacrifices made by many. Yet, the actions of Guan Feiyu, even if driven by self-interest, have, to some extent, alleviated some of the burdens they bear. Chapter 28. At this moment, if he continues to feign the demeanor of a virtuous gentleman, then he is no true man. Tang Zheng furrowed his brow and remarked, there is another matter you may not be aware of. The higher authorities, having meticulously analyzed the information he provided, have discerned that it will not be long before there are significant changes in the global climate. Consequently, the nation has already commenced preparations. It seems that a monumental transformation in the world is imminent. Given that he is privy to this knowledge, it may assist our country, or at least aid certain individuals, thus alleviating some of the national burden. Su Xiaoxiao had not anticipated the extent to which the nation valued Guan Feiyu. Although these developments might still be in the observation stage, as long as Guan Feiyu remains steadfast, he is likely to become a member of their ranks in the future. At this moment, Su Xiaoxiao felt a surge of curiosity towards Guan Feiyu. Team leader, you are correct, but I still harbor some apprehensions. I have decided to keep a watchful eye on him. I heard that he has completed renovations on his residence in Wulong Villa community. I intend to visit there. What do you think? Su Xiaoxiao proposed. Tang Zheng glanced at her, aware that her reasoning was merely a pretext. She was likely still feeling some dissatisfaction. Yet her desire to monitor Guan Feiyu seemed genuine. Moreover, someone indeed needed to keep an eye on him, so Tang Zheng nodded in agreement, offering no objections. Guan Feiyu looked at Zhao Shiyan with concern and inquired, Shiyan, are you all right? Seeing the genuine concern reflected in his eyes, and recalling how he had risked his life to save her, Zhao Shiyan could no longer contain her emotions and embraced Guan Feiyu, crying, I am fine. Guan Feiyu gently patted her back, offering a comforting smile. All right. Since you're fine, let us return home. Zhao Shiyan released her hold on him and asked, can I be your girlfriend? Guan Feiyu was momentarily taken aback. He had not anticipated Zhao Shiyan to voice such a sentiment at that moment. Misinterpreting his potential hesitation regarding her past marriage, Zhao Shiyan hurriedly added, even if it means being in a secret relationship, I am willing. Only then did Guan Feiyu realize her willingness, albeit surprised by her readiness to be kept in the dark. How about we aim for something more significant than just a secret? Would you consider being my partner? He gently caressed her face with a smile. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shiyan's face radiated with joy as she leaped into his embrace. After a moment, Guan Feiyu patted her shoulder. All right, let us return to the hotel to pack. We shall move now. Zhao Shiyan nodded, linking her arm with Guan Feiyu's. And together they made their way outside. However, Guan Feiyu felt an unusual comfort in her embrace, as Zhao Shiyan held onto him tightly. Certain aspects of her physique created a distinct sensation against his arm, one he had not experienced before. Yet, whether Zhao Shiyan was unaware or indifferent, she continued to hold him closely. As for the bodies left behind, Tang Zheng paid them no mind. Every glance Guan Feiyu cast upon them could be considered a loss. Upon their return to the hotel, they found Li Kaiyun pacing anxiously. Upon seeing them, she exclaimed joyfully, are you both unharmed? Upon witnessing Zhao Shiyan tightly clutching Guan Feiyu's arm, Li Kaiyun felt an inexplicable discomfort within her. Guan Feiyu reassured her, don't worry, Shiyan is fine. Now Shiyan, please go tidy up your belongings. Zhao Shiyan responded with a soft acknowledgement, reluctantly releasing her grip on Guan Feiyu's arm as she hurried into the room to gather her things. Although it was nighttime, Guan Feiyu led the two women to check out, and then hailed a taxi to return to the villa under the cover of darkness. As the two women entered the villa, they gazed in disbelief at their surroundings. Zhao Shiyan, though not lacking in wealth, had never encountered such opulent quarters. Li Kaiyun, despite being the adopted daughter of Lu Ming, the deputy city lord, had similarly never laid eyes on such lavish accommodations. Even though she had previously conducted discreet inquiries into Lu Ming, she had never stepped foot inside this residence. Thus, it was the first time for both of them to behold such grandeur. Feiyu, will we be living here from now on? Zhao Shiyan asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Guan Feiyu nodded affirmatively. For the time being, yes. Zhao Shiyan and Li Kaiyun did not grasp the implication of the word temporarily and instead continued to explore their surroundings. You may wander around, and feel free to check upstairs as well. Aside from the master bedroom, Kaiyun can select any room she desires, Guan Feiyu added with a smile. After a while of marveling at their surroundings, the initial shock began to wane. Though they had overlooked Guan Feiyu's remark about temporarily, they caught on to the distinction in his invitation for Li Kaiyun to choose a room, which did not extend to Zhao Shiyan. Realizing this subtlety, Zhao Shiyan's face flushed crimson. Yet she refrained from protest. Li Kaiyun, too, understood the implication, her expression shifting momentarily before breaking into a smile. Feiyu, are you and Shiyan together now? While her words conveyed curiosity, only she knew the bitterness that lurked beneath her surface. Zhao Shiyan's cheeks reddened further at the remark, and in a bashful manner, she buried herself into Guan Feiyu's embrace, unable to meet Li Kaiyun's gaze. Guan Feiyu chuckled. All right, Kaiyun, you should go choose your room. Li Kaiyun glanced at Zhao Shiyan, a hint of sourness in her voice as she replied, Fine, you two carry on. With that, Li Kaiyun ascended to the second floor, casually selecting a room. Guan Feiyu accompanied Zhao Shiyin upstairs, leading her to the master bedroom. The suite featured a grand design, with a supersized bed capable of accommodating 3 or 4 individuals at its center, surrounded by bedside tables and other furnishings. 2 doors flanked the side, presumably leading to a walk-in closet and a bathroom. Zhao Shiyin looked at Guan Feiyu with a hint of nervousness. He could discern that her earlier proclamation about being his girlfriend had been uttered in a moment of excitement, but she likely wasn't ready to fully entrust herself to him. All right, go freshen up, Guan Feiyu said with a smile. Some matters can wait until you're prepared. Zhao Shiyin was taken aback that he would articulate such sentiments at that moment. Shy Zhao Shiyin nodded, entered the bathroom, took a shower, and only emerged after changing into a bathrobe. Guan Feiyu cursed himself for not preparing sleepwear for Zhao Shiyin. He had amassed a plethora of items, including a variety of garments of all types and sizes, even numerous intimate apparel. Wait a moment. It seemed that Zhao Shiyin had not brought her belongings upstairs. This implied that beneath the bathrobe, she was unadorned. Although Guan Feiyu had promised Zhao Shiyin to give her some time, the thought of catching a glimpse was tempting. Upon noticing Guan Feiyu's excited expression, Zhao Shiyin's face flushed crimson. Feiyu, could you turn around, please? Zhao Shiyin shyly requested. Guan Feiyu instinctively replied, okay. I'll turn around. After saying this, he indeed turned his head away. Zhao Shiyin quickly climbed onto the bed, removed her bathrobe, and covered herself with a blanket. It's fine now. Feiyu, you can turn off the light, she said, feeling bashful. Guan Feiyu obediently switched off the light, plunging the room into silence. Yet both were acutely aware that sleep eluded them. After an indeterminate period, Zhao Shiyin softly asked, Feiyu, are you asleep? Guan Feiyu responded with a sound, noticeably louder than before, indicating he had not drifted off. After a brief hesitation, Zhao Shiyin shyly proposed, If you truly can't hold back, I'm okay with it. Guan Feiyu was taken aback that Zhao Shiyin could utter such words. At this moment, if he were to maintain his pretense of virtue, he would not be a man. Chapter 29, Take it down before noon. Naturally, Guan Feiyu did not forget the Huangdi Neijing and promptly began to channel its teachings. In a swift motion, he turned over. Soon, the room resonated with distinct sounds. The noise persisted for an indeterminate duration before finally subsiding. Zhao Shiyin had fallen asleep. Whether from exhaustion or faintness remained unclear. Meanwhile, Guan Feiyu was remarkably alert. Although lying down, he felt an influx of energy coursing through him, rapidly transforming into spiritual power that filled his being. After some time, Guan Feiyu sensed he had directly broken through to the second layer of the qi refinement stage. He was astonished that such a breakthrough could occur in a single instance, likely due to the culmination of his prior diligent cultivation. While the advancement had been modest at the time, he had still made significant progress during the flight. Moreover, this was Zhao Shiyin's first experience, which undoubtedly amplified the benefits. It appeared that in the future, he would indeed need to rely on women to enhance his realm and strength. However, even in a post-apocalyptic world, not just anyone could assist him in his cultivation. The significance of being a first time was trivial. Character, appearance, and physique had to be meticulously scrutinized. Before long, dawn broke, heralding a new day. As he gazed at the still sleeping Zhao Shiyin, weary from fatigue, a tender affection graced Guan Feiyu's visage. Rising to freshen up in the bathroom, Guan Feiyu descended to the first floor, effortlessly conjuring an array of breakfast dishes. For Guan Feiyu, the act of cooking was an impossibility, a feat he deemed unattainable in this lifetime. Previously, he had arranged for a variety of breakfasts, calculated per person, with at least 100,000 servings stored within his spatial ring. Time slipped by, and before long, Li Kaiyun made her appearance. You're up quite early, she remarked, casting Guan Feiyu a glance tinged with a mix of displeasure and pity. Guan Feiyu was taken aback, uncertain of the meaning behind her expression. In truth, Li Kaiyun had spent the night tossing and turning, unable to find rest. On one hand, she felt envious of Zhao Shiyin for being with Guan Feiyu. On the other, she was curious about their activities together. As the night wore on, she heard not a single sound from them. Even when she pretended to use the bathroom and passed by the master bedroom, all remained silent. Unbeknownst to her, the villa had been soundproofed to a high standard. And having invested so much money, Guan Feiyu would ensure that the sound insulation was impeccable. Thus, even if Zhao Shiyin were to scream at the top of her lungs, it was unlikely that Li Kaiyun would hear her. Yet, Li Kaiyun couldn't shake the feeling that Guan Feiyu harbored some male secrets, leaving Zhao Shiyin in a rather pitiable position. Just then, Zhao Shiyin descended, looking weary. Li Kaiyun regarded her with an odd expression, noting that Zhao Shiyin's gait seemed somewhat awkward and that there was an unfamiliar aura about her, an indescribable sensation that left Li Kaiyun momentarily speechless. Ignoring Li Kaiyun, Guan Feiyu smiled at Zhao Shiyan, beckoning, Shiyan, come and have breakfast. It was only then that both Zhao Shiyan and Li Kaiyun noticed the lavish spread that Guan Feiyu had prepared. Not just the three of them. Even 10 people would struggle to consume it all. Feiyu, why did you prepare so much breakfast? Zhao Shiyan inquired, astonished. Guan Feiyu replied with a grin. You worked so hard last night, so I thought it best to prepare extra. I wasn't too sure what you liked, but with this variety, there must be something to your taste. Hearing him mention last night made Zhao Shiyan's cheeks flush even deeper. A wave of happiness washing over her at the thought of someone caring. Yet, recollecting the events of the previous night, she felt a strange notion that Guan Feiyu was more than human. Rather than merely being exhausted, it seemed she had fainted. With that thought, Zhao Shiyan shot Guan Feiyu a fierce glare. Feeling the heat of her gaze, he awkwardly suggested, let us eat first. Li Kaiyun, overhearing their exchange and observing their expressions, sensed she might have misjudged the situation. After they finished breakfast, Li Kaiyun took the initiative to tidy up. After all, this was Guan Feiyu's home, and Zhao Shiyan was now his girlfriend. As an outsider, who was merely hiding here to avoid Lu Ming's retribution, Li Kaiyun felt compelled to contribute. Once Li Kaiyun had finished cleaning, she was taken aback to find Zhao Shiyan nestled in Guan Feiyu's embrace, which left her feeling somewhat uncomfortable. Suddenly, Guan Feiyu called out, Kaiyun, come take a look at this list. Do you think there is anything missing from this list if we were to be isolated from the world? Li Kaiyun had initially intended to return to her room. But upon hearing this remark, she was intrigued and took the lengthy list, longer than a foot-binding cloth, to examine it closely. After less than 3 minutes, she furrowed her brow and said, Feiyu, while this list is indeed exhaustive, considering your assertion of isolation, shouldn't we contemplate the issue of illness? Upon hearing this, Guan Feiyu smacked his forehead. How could he have overlooked the most crucial medications? In the frigid apocalypse, fevers and colds were commonplace. Without medicine, it could very well lead to demise. Although his cultivation of the Huangdi Neijing might render him less vulnerable, others would certainly require it. He promptly checked his spatial ring, discovering that among the items he had procured from various warehouses abroad, there were indeed some medications and medical equipment, including large-scale medical apparatus. However, the labels on the medications were in foreign languages, most of which he could not comprehend. Regrettably, Guan Feiyu had studied these languages, but after many years of disuse, most of his knowledge had faded. Moreover, the presence of numerous specialized terminologies rendered him utterly clueless. Kaiyun, how did you immediately discern the absence of medications while neither I nor anyone else noticed? Guan Feiyu inquired, intrigued. Li Kaiyun smiled and replied, I am studying medicine and currently pursuing my postgraduate degree, but due to recent events, I have not been attending classes. Guan Feiyu was utterly astonished to learn that Li Kaiyun was a medical student. It was well understood that in the apocalypse, doctors were among the most vital talents. Even though many women faced indignities during such times, generally, no one dared to target a physician. In an era rife with injuries and illnesses, offending a doctor could result in dire consequences when one's life hung in the balance. Do you have any connections to acquire various medications? The more, the better. Procure as much as you can. Guan Feiyu looked at Li Kaiyun with hopeful eyes. With approximately 10 days until the onset of the apocalypse, venturing abroad for medications posed risks. Any unexpected events could prevent his return. Attempting to source them domestically could lead to immediate detainment by authorities. Li Kaiyun hesitated and said, though medications may seem innocuous, they are strictly regulated. If we purchase a substantial quantity, it will undoubtedly attract attention. Without a valid explanation, we would find ourselves in trouble. Guan Feiyu was well aware of this, which was why he had not suggested a direct purchase, but rather inquired about her connections. Hearing her response, his brow furrowed with concern. After a moment of contemplation, Li Kaiyun reluctantly suggested, if you truly require a large supply of various medications, you could establish a pharmacy, and I could find someone to assist you in bulk purchasing. That might be a feasible solution. Upon hearing these words, Guan Feiyu's eyes lit up. He immediately took out his phone and called Tiger, speaking with an authoritative tone. Tiger, I don't care what methods you employ. Secure a pharmacy for me before noon. The size is inconsequential, but it must be done by midday. Chapter 30. Let me share a story with you. The formidable Tiger, never having heard Guan Feiyu speak in such a manner, promptly agreed. By noon, the pharmacy had been renamed. Li Kaiyun swiftly contacted a classmate who had been pursuing her, discussing the procurement of various medications and essential medical supplies. This classmate's family was engaged in the pharmaceutical business, and upon hearing the request from someone he admired, he readily acquiesced. With the pharmaceutical matters resolved, Guan Feiyu exhaled in relief. Suddenly, he recalled something. Shiyan, you must have the contact numbers for some food suppliers. Please call them and arrange for some deliveries to our location. Zhao Shiyan, somewhat perplexed, responded, Feiyu, why bring it here? In an apocalyptic world, strength is paramount. Yet with only Zhao Shiyin and the soon-to-arrive Li Kaiyun by his side, Guan Feiyu felt it insufficient. The residents of Wulong Villa community were unfamiliar with him, and he realized that to capture their attention, especially in such dire circumstances, he must rely on food. If a substantial supply of resources arrived during this period, the onset of the apocalypse would undoubtedly draw the attention of others. When the apocalypse strikes, all eyes would likely be on him, allowing him to make selections from the throng. Moreover, prior to his rebirth, he had numerous adversaries in this vicinity, and it was imperative to settle those past grievances when the time came. Shiyin, we have just moved here, and we lack many essentials. Our home does not appear to be that of a family living comfortably. Since this is our home, it must reflect that. As a household, we should prepare some food and domestic items, Guan Feiyu remarked with a smile. Zhao Shiyin, still puzzled, replied, even if we need to buy, it shouldn't be excessive, and we could purchase it ourselves. There's no need for delivery. Guan Feiyu desired to create a stir, to provoke them into seeking him out, thereby inciting conflict, a strategy akin to fishing for compliance. If they were to purchase items themselves, or if their purchases were minimal, the commotion would be negligible. And what if no one noticed? We lack transportation, and the list of necessities is extensive. It would be exhausting to carry everything in multiple trips. Besides, we have the means, let them deliver, Guan Feiyu chuckled. In truth, Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun had always been curious about why Guan Feiyu, with his considerable wealth, had not purchased a vehicle. Initially, he believed his finances were insufficient, and later, when he acquired wealth, he simply forgot. Upon returning from abroad, with the apocalypse looming, he deemed acquiring a vehicle somewhat wasteful, thus neglecting the notion of buying one. To speak of vehicles, he possessed several in his spatial ring, including snowmobiles and small yachts, but deemed it unnecessary to utilize them at this juncture. Upon hearing Guan Feiyu's words, Zhao Shiyin ceased her inquiries. It was only after the events of the previous night that she felt compelled to ask so many questions. Otherwise, she would have remained silent. Soon, items began to be delivered, signaling to those nearby that Building A of Wulong Villa had acquired its owner. The property management contacted Guan Feiyu, incorporating him into the owner's group. A thought struck Guan Feiyu, prompting him to inform the management of his additional penthouse. Consequently, he was added to the general residence group as well. However, feeling that this was insufficient, he offered a sum of money to the property personnel responsible, ensuring his inclusion in all the owners' groups. That evening, he also integrated Li Kaiyun and Zhao Shiyin's accounts into these groups. Furthermore, Guan Feiyu created several alternate accounts to add to the groups as well. Although Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun were curious about the purpose of Guan Feiyu's actions, they refrained from further questioning him. Later that night, Guan Feiyu and Zhao Shiyin retreated to their room. Given that it was their first time the previous day, Guan Feiyu chose not to continue, allowing Zhao Shiyin a day of respite. From the following day onward, he ventured out daily to collect medical supplies into his spatial ring, doing so under the cover of night when no one would take notice. Naturally, Guan Feiyu did not remain idle during these nocturnal excursions, and Zhao Shiyin relished the experiences, willingly participating. Time flew by, and only a day remained until the impending apocalypse. Guan Feiyu summoned both Li Kaiyun and Zhao Shiyin. Kaiyun, I shall ask you one final time. Do you still stand by the choice you made a month ago? Guan Feiyu's countenance was grave. Li Kaiyun was momentarily taken aback, but she quickly comprehended that he referred to the matter concerning Lu Ming. Initially, Guan Feiyu had presented her with 3 options. First, he would eliminate Lu Ming by the end of the month. Second, she could report him truthfully after 6 months. Or third, she could seek vengeance herself when the opportunity arose. She had never contemplated the notion of avenging herself, nor had she considered involving Guan Feiyu. Her only hope was for him to assist her in reporting after 6 months. To her surprise, Guan Feiyu broached the subject again today. Given his solemn expression, it became clear that this was her final opportunity to decide. Zhao Shiyin was perplexed by their conversation, as neither Guan Feiyu nor Li Kaiyun had shared the details of this matter with her. Likewise, Zhao Shiyin had not elaborated on the specifics of Guan Feiyu's rescue nor mentioned any acts of violence. After a prolonged moment of contemplation, Li Kaiyun finally responded, I still stand by my original choice. A smile spread across Guan Feiyu's face. Since you have chosen thus, I hope you will not regret it. Now, let us retire for the night. Remember, sleep in tomorrow, but no one is allowed to leave. At midnight, I will take you to witness history. Both women were left bewildered, unable to grasp the meaning behind Guan Feiyu's words, yet sensing a mysterious anticipation in his demeanor. That night, Guan Feiyu, for once, refrained from any disturbances, indulging in a restful slumber. In fact, he truly enjoyed a leisurely morning, not rising until noon. In contrast, Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun rose early, their minds occupied with Guan Yu's words about witnessing history. By noon, Guan Yu had awoken, and Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun curiously inquired of Xiao Bieli about what history they were to witness. Did it involve watching television? Guan Yu remained silent. As evening descended, Guan Yu did not present anything particularly extravagant. Rather, he served his favorite dish from earlier days, barbecued meat. Nonetheless, the array of food was abundant and comprised the finest ingredients. While the meal was relatively humble, the quality of the ingredients rivaled that of a lavish feast. In the end, Guan Yu even produced 2 bottles of exquisite red wine. As for their cost, he was oblivious, for he lacked knowledge in such matters. Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun were astonished to discover that one of the bottles was a Lafite. Although it wasn't from the illustrious year of 82, it was aged for over a decade, undoubtedly making it a costly vintage. They were puzzled as to how Guan Yu had acquired such a bottle, given that their villa had never possessed it before. Glimpsing at the clock, they noted it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. Watching Guan Yu busily prepare, they felt bewildered. It was late, yet barbecued meat was being served. What was the situation? Weren't they to witness a miracle? Guan Yu smiled and said, "Come, sit down and join me." Despite their lack of enthusiasm, they could not refuse him after his invitation. Guan Yu began to place wagyu beef, seafood, and various ingredients on the grill. And without waiting for the two, he dipped his food in sauces and began to eat, occasionally sipping some wine. Zhao Shiyin and Li Kaiyun barely took a few bites, merely accompanying Guan Yu. However, they noticed he frequently checked the time. At 11:30, Guan Yu raised his glass, moved to the window, gazed outside with a profound expression, and said, "Let me tell you a story.